I didn't. Okay, well,
No, keep going. I mean, we can do, but yeah,
okay.
I knew everybody in Nashville worked for Zambui at one point. So
A lot of people did, but see, I didn't work for them when they were Zambui. They got bought out by another company, and a friend was working there at the time, and they hit me up and they're like, "Hey, come get this job. It's right down the street." And they're like, get out of the get out of the sandwich business. Let me get rid of this little notification. There we go. And yeah, so I did that for a couple of years until it kind of went belly up. That company, they changed a lot of management and ownership, and they couldn't really figure out like a niche because they basically got rid of the band stuff. They started working
gotcha.
on other more like Christian and country artists. They had a few big time artists that they would do fulfillment for, like Aerosmith was one of their clients, and POD was one of their clients. So that was pretty
Oh,
cool. Um, but then they started phasing that stuff out. And once they kind of started phasing out the music stuff, because it just wasn't making them enough money, I guess they moved over to like kayaking stuff.
okay, all
So
right.
they were just trying to find whatever was selling at the time. And I just wasn't really vibing with it. So I left there and I actually worked at the Hot Topic warehouse for like a Christmas season. And it was like the absolute worst job I've ever had in my life. Out of all the jobs I've ever had, I've worked some pretty terrible ones.
Real.
That one was by far the worst experience I'd ever had. Like it was horrible, dude. So that didn't last long. I actually went back to MCN for a little while, and I was kind of like looking around, and that's when I found the job I'm at now. And I've been there for like 7 years. So
Hell yeah. Well,
yeah,
hey guys, what's up? This is Russ Attitude, and you're listening to You Want It, You Got It podcast. And as you could tell, we're listening. I mean, we're speaking to Mr. Wes Murdock from
hi,
Graveyard Kids.
hello,
Hello.
good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you. If you're
Thank you.
listening, we were just speaking to. Well, he was just speaking about working in the old warehouse business, selling some merch, and then working at Hot Topic and whatnot. But what you been up to, guy?
Just that, man. I mean, just working constantly, working every day, and doing as much music as possible.
Oh yeah, I think let's we're gonna show our age now, but I think I've known you now for probably 20 years, if not.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back. We're gonna have to start
Yeah,
from the beginning
I
for on this
I think the
conversation.
yeah I think the first time I met you, you were in a band called Someday.
That's right.
Um, were you
Represent.
was this a high school band?
That was like my second or third attempt at doing like an actual band. It was the
Okay,
first time I started playing hardcore music though. That was the first hardcore band that I ever did.
okay.
And
So
I
Someday, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No.
Oh, it was some X day, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the X is silent. That was like the inside joke.
Oh, okay,
So we
okay.
we were it was kind of like a tongue in cheek, more or less, because we were just having fun. We knew we were just high school kids, and it was like we were just trying to have fun. And so I believe it started. It was in the I was in like the 10th grade, I think,
Wow.
and actually the same guitar I'm playing right now, that LTD Viper, is the same
Yep.
guitar I've had since then.
Wow.
So that one guitar has brought me all the way from that band to where I'm at today. So I it's like a family heirloom at this point. Like that's what my guitars are to me. They're like they're a part of me that I can't imagine myself without. I got to get a new one eventually because it is going. I mean the I mean the hardware is going to fall off it at some point. It's been beat up so bad, but
It's
so
your
yeah,
sound.
yeah, dude. But yeah, so we were just kids, man, and we were having fun, and we got into the hardcore music around that time because hardcore was huge. I've been into punk rock my entire life, growing up, and yeah, we just started playing in my friend's bedroom, and he was a really sick drummer, Taylor. He was a sick drummer, and me and Andy, we were just like, just down tuned our guitars and started writing riffs and stuff, and started jam. We met him on off MySpace, of
Wow.
course, like everybody did back then.
Oh, for
And we
sure.
and we just started jamming in his room, and came up with a couple songs. And so we were kind of joking around about how a lot of the bands at that time had X's in their name. Like, we weren't like a straight edge band or anything, but like we just thought it'd be funny to like just put an X. Like the name actually came up from it was an email address. Like somebody
Someday.
some X day was like the drummer's email address. And
Okay.
that's actually the same email address that I use to this day. I think I just started using it and that just became my personal email. Now
So
everyone
this
has now everybody has my personal email address.
so you're saying this email address has been around for over 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, like most people, I think like created a screen name or something back then, and it's just stuck.
Well, I don't
So
think the people know what screen names are.
I don't think so either. But it's just one of those things. So but yeah, so we met at it had to have been at the Muse, man. Like
Oh, for
there's
sure.
run me by your recollection of it then, because mine's
Well, I
definitely hazy, but it'll start
well,
coming back to me.
same man. A lot of things in our head, but make us think differently. I'm sure it was either you opened up, you guys and one of my bands either taken under a guerrilla warfare at the time were
Right,
opening up for somebody locally, some touring band, and we got on the bill, and then we just
right.
ended up becoming acquaintances and then friends over the months and years because we were always at the same shows, we're always playing the same shows,
Yeah.
um and I do remember a show with Someday and G Dub, and I might have Someday, might not even been on the bill, but I'm thinking it was. Did you guys play the house show at CDC in Franklin?
Yes. I booked that show.
It
That
was in
was
like a nice ass house
that was my
in the
house.
oh in
That
the
was
basement.
before. That was my mom's house actually.
Okay, yeah. So
That was where eventually where like all my bands started to practice was in that basement. That's where like
oh
pretty much from some X Day all the way up to Murdock before we had to move out of that house eventually. So there was like a 6 year time period, I guess, from like I think it was from like 2003 ish, maybe 2004, all the way up to about 2010. I think we moved out of that house in 2010,
wow.
like halfway through 2010 or towards the end of 2010, maybe going into 2011. And that's where like all my bands practiced. And yeah, we had some pretty gnarly house shows down there.
I remembered. That's the only show I remember being there. But I got actually, I think it was with Guerrilla Warfare. I was actually singing with Guerrilla Warfare at that time,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you were.
I have pictures of me from that show, and I this picture is one of my favorite pictures. It's me, and I'm wearing a Suffocate Faster shirt. My guitar player Steve-O is next to me, and he's this his pose he has, this pose I have, which is it's epic as fuck. But the quality of the picture is so grainy. It's
Hmm.
not even. I mean, you blow it up and it loses its fucking thing. So it got to be like hella small, like a thumbnail size to make it look good. But yeah,
I,
so
I
that was your house.
that was my house. Yeah, that was one of many house shows. We kind of stopped doing the house shows because I mean the hardcore shows back then were like they're extremely violent and people were getting hurt and like holes kept getting punched in my walls. And
Uh,
like my mom was like really not happy about like coming down and being like, seeing like a pile of like gnarly hardcore dudes like sprawl out on the floor, like, like hungover and stuff. She was really not happy about that. So we kind of stopped doing that after a while. But the one of the ones that I remember the most, there was a few. There was that one. That one was probably one of the best ones. It was Some X Day, Contender, Guerrilla
oh.
Warfare, and I believe there's and I think CDC.
They showed up hella late because they left late or something, and we were like between the last band and CDC there was this huge gap, and then they finally showed up and then they played, but we had to wait for them. But I
That's
forgot about
so crazy.
Contender.
That's so crazy. Yeah, so they were friends of ours that we went to school with and we played music with together.
They were twins, right?
No, they were not twins. They looked like they could have been twins, but they no, Luke and Jesse were not twins, but
Good dude.
they were a destructive force for sure.
Um, their dad, I remember their dad had played drums for a little while for White Snake,
True. That is
and
true.
then
Tony
and
Newman.
then which one?
Tony Newman.
Tommy Newman. Okay, and then
Tony Newman.
Tony. Okay. And then he went on and played with the Blue Man Group.
No, that is
No?
false.
Okay.
I think that's false. This is like Wikipedia fact or fiction. uh, so what I know about Tony Newman, Luke and Jesse's dad. I grew up around them. He was one of the craziest dudes I'd ever met. I mean, he's just so funny, and he's British. He's British. Growing
Oh
up,
shit.
he started playing drums in England, and when he was 16, he played with a band called Sounds Incorporated, and he was the drummer. And they were like a funk kind of swing funk band, I believe,
Okay.
something like that. And they actually they opened for the Beatles, like
Wow. Holy shit.
yeah, on like the first Beatles tour, like in America or something like that, or one of them, or maybe they in England. And I believe he went on to play with Little Richard.
Oh
Also, he
shit.
drummed for Little Richard. Like the Sounds Incorporated was like the band that went on tour with Little Richard. So that was really cool. And so we would hang out, and like he would have this Christmas party every year when we were in like we were still middle schoolers going into high school, and me and Luke would jam at his dad's house sometimes. And at the Christmas party, they were like, okay, we're gonna let the kids come out, and like I didn't know this, but these are all like world famous industry, like the Everly Brothers were there.
Holy
And
shit.
like
Okay.
they were at this dude's, I had no idea who they were, like, and it was like them and a bunch of industry people and like some world-class musicians. Like, okay, we're gonna let the kids play their song now. And me and Lou get up there like playing like breakdowns and stuff, and they just are all like holding their drinks like, okay, kids, that was very nice, thank you very much. I had no idea. I like completely embarrassed myself in front of the Everly Brothers when I was like 13 years old. It was
Someone got to do it.
I mean, that's how you get your start, I guess. But yeah, that was crazy, man. That was a good time.
Um, what are those dudes up to these days?
Just probably family.
Oh yeah.
I think yeah, just doing the family stuff. I mean, we're approaching big 4-0 here in a couple years, so time moves on.
Yeah, I'm about to. I'm pushing the big 50, so it's okay.
It is what it
Um,
is.
yeah, that's
You're only as old as you feel.
that's right. That's right. I only feel old for a few minutes in the morning. After that, I'm good.
Yeah, for real.
Uh, all right, let me try to get this timeline real quick on you and your bands.
Yeah, I
All
need
right,
I need to remember this myself.
all right. I have the bands, and in my eyes, I see, and this is not bands that these are bands I feel like you started. So
Okay.
someday,
Okay.
okay. So after someday, was it Heavy Sleepers or Murdoch?
Okay, so it was someday, and then we did the heart attack. That's when we transitioned to the easy core type stuff, pop punk. Heart attack. Me
Wait
and
a
Andy.
second. Was
That was
that
the
with
band. That
go-
was right after some X Day. Yeah,
but who was in that? Was that who was on vocals?
that was Carrie Awful,
Okay,
the
I
wrestler.
actually have four Heart Attack demos over here, and they're all
You
differently
do?
colored, and they're differently colored and numbered.
Wow, I probably burned those.
Yeah, yeah, and they're all handwritten.
That was me. I did
Yeah,
that. I actually still have some of the pins that you made for us. You made buttons that
yeah,
had Steve Urkel on them.
yep.
Or no, it wasn't him. It was his Stefan, his
I
alternate
I
ego, his alter
I have a
ego.
bag. I have a bag of everything that I had made for buttons, and those ones are in there.
Wow.
Yeah,
I need to get some of those from you, man, because I
yeah,
I
yeah,
still
yeah.
have mine, but they're like super rusty, and they just I don't wear them. They just sit there. But
Did not know Heart Attack was with you guys. I mean, I saw Heart Attack, and maybe I did realize it because we played with Heart Attack, either Taken Under or G Dub. I don't
yeah,
remember. I don't remember what bands I played with who back then, but I think of Rocket Town and
I
uh
remember in the Some X Day and Heart Attack days. I was still in high school for those two bands. It was like the hardcore stuff was like the first 2 years, and then like the second half was like more of the pop punk stuff. And so you were doing Code of Honor booking,
yep.
and you were booking hello shows at the Muse multiple times a month. You were booking hello shows at Rocket Town multiple
And that
times a
wasn't
month.
just me. That wasn't just me. That was me and Mark Slaughter.
Okay, Mark Slaughter too. So y'all
Yeah.
were y'all were tag teaming that shit, and but
Yeah.
I remember you and I were you were the one I was reaching out to, but Mark was cool too because he was
Yeah.
always very nice and he was always very supportive, and
Yep.
I always really liked his vocals. I always thought his vocals were really badass.
Well, we'll have
So
to let him know.
we did a lot of different shows with you guys, both Taken Under and Guerrilla Warfare. over the years, kind of going back and forth between like yeah, like the Muse, Rocketown. I think we played the Mercantile together one time. That might have been a
The
different
anch
band.
the anchor.
The Anchor, and what was that place in Colombia that we played that one time? It was some X Day taking under guerrilla warfare, and I think it was they said we were ghosts.
Yep, it was quote unquote like their comeback show or their last show no, no, no. Their last show was at the Anchor. But yes, that was done by New Jack, Cody New Jack. He booked it because his dad kind of, I think his dad owned that club, and that place was fucking sweet.
Yeah,
But
this it had like this triangle
yep,
stage.
yep, yep.
That
It was
was gnarly.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, we always had that one song that we ended with, and that it was like the gang pile song where like everybody would just pile on each other, and I don't even
Hell
remember
yeah.
the words to it. I wish I could remember some of those Some X Day songs because they're hilarious. I do have one set. There is a live set that got recorded at the Muse. I just have audio only. It's on my YouTube channel. If you want
Oh
to check
yeah.
it out later, you
I'll
definitely
check
should
that
listen
out.
because it got copyright struck too because we did a Gorilla Biscuits cover.
I never knew that.
Yeah, those our buddy Gordon came up and did the vocals on that, and he was always kind of salty that we didn't have him be the singer in the band because we let our friend Curtis do it,
Uh-huh.
and Curtis was uh not the obvious choice. Let's just go with that.
Okay.
But he had a lot of heart, and he just showed up and started doing it. We just let him do it, and that's just how it went, you know. But that
Um,
one show, I remember that one show we played in Columbia was a lot of fun
oh, that was real
because
fun.
there was a shitload of people there, and it's just that I remember that pylon at the very end just being like one of the greatest things I'd ever seen at that point.
If I'm not mistaken, because I remember when I hear about a show, I remember kind of what was going on around the same time. That same week, I think Taken Under played. Um, we played in Chattanooga, but the next night in Nashville, I think it might have been Set Your Goals played at the Muse. Um, but I can't remember sure. It was like Suffocate Faster, Set Your Goals, because Set Your Goals got thrown on the was able to get on the show because of Suffocate Faster. Um, did you guys play with Set Your Goals at all?
Murdoch did.
Did
Yeah,
you
Murdoch
guys?
did a lot. Yeah, we toured with them for a little while.
Yeah. How many dates did you all do with them?
We did like 6 or 7 days total
Oh, nice, nice, nice.
with them and Comeback Kid and Title Fight. That's my claim to fame right there.
Well, you got to figure every one of those bands you just listed back in that time period were still like in the up and coming, except for Comeback Kid. They were pretty big at that point. But like
Oh hell yeah.
Title Fight's huge now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're a band anymore,
No, I just think
but
they're.
I mean,
I think they're doing
people
the
still talk about it.
reunions. They're doing reunions. I
Got to
think now.
cash in somehow,
Hey, I ain't mad at people.
for sure, man.
um. So it was all right. So after Heavy Sleepers, not Heavy Sleepers. After Heart Attack, it was what Murdoch.
That was when Murdoch started. So
Okay.
like Heart Attack was like half of Murdoch and then half of Some X Day, pretty much, with like and then with like Carrie on vocals. And it was a short-lived little project, you know. I mean, we played a bunch of shows, and it was funny. We were still kind of getting our footing, and that was when I was kind of like, kind of moving away from just doing hardcore. But so Murdoch started after Heart Attack in
Okay.
like I think it was like the last few weeks of me being in high school in like 2007, I think, is when we started Murdoch, and Devin joined the band. Devin and Josh, the bass player, had always talked about doing music together, and then we were just kind of already had a thing going. We had a place to practice, and I think that was when we were like, okay, we're gonna tune back up to E standard, no more drop C tunings, and
Yeah.
moved back up to that, and I kind of got back into playing, standard tunings and playing just straight punk rock again, pop punky punk rock stuff, and not like the hardcore influence type easy core or metalcore type stuff. And that was fun. Murdoch was one of my favorite bands. It was one of my favorite times in my life because we got to do some really cool stuff in like a really, really short amount of time. It was kind of like how like Kid Dynamite was like,
Oh,
they
nice.
got to do this crazy stuff. Because we just wanted to be Kid Dynamite pretty much.
Okay.
And it was like Kid Dynamite meets Bouncing Souls meets Lifetime, that whole era. And so we did that for a couple years until the band. So we eventually just said, okay, we're done. And
Well, Murdoch, how long was that? How long have you? How many years y'all do that in?
dude, it had only been like 3 or 4 years. I mean, because
Okay.
we started in 2007, and I think we played our last show in like 2010 or 2011, maybe like
Okay.
the first half of 2011, or it might have even been December
Okay.
of 2010. And
Um.
it was a really short, I mean, it was crazy because it was just like a really short period of time. Yeah, maybe only 3 or 4 years, if I can recall correctly.
Let's take a step back real quick. Um. Before the band, before the band, what what got you in? Who got you into punk rock?
Oh, this is a good one. This is one of my favorite stories. So growing up, I mean, I've always loved music, just my
Okay.
entire
Yeah. Yeah.
life. I've always, but growing up, like just being a kid, all I did was listen to the radio, and I just everything that was on the radio is what I liked. I just liked everything on the radio, and but that was like early '90s, like 1993, '94. Uh, like that was when the Blue album came out. Loved Weezer, and like Green Day, of course, was like I fell in love with Green Day because it was like I always loved like Nirvana and Sublime, and just I've always been into just like alternative punk rock, like alternative
Yeah.
rock or whatever. Even like I even liked like a lot of the hip hop stuff, like Coolio was like one of my favorites growing up. Like,
I mean, you can't be wrong. I mean, the early to mid '90s, the releases that came out with the, like you said, the Blue album, Dookie,
Offspring, can't
Smash,
forget
Offspring,
Offspring,
Smash.
Smash.
Great,
Uh,
a bunch of great stuff, man.
so I think it was really in like the third or fourth grade is it's so funny to say been a punk rock since I was in the third grade, but like this kid showed up to school one day, and and this is in Williamson County, Franklin, Tennessee, back in the 90s, is as conservative as you can get. This kid shows up with spiky hair and a
Third
rancid shirt.
grade.
Third grade. This kid shows up wearing a rancid shirt. I mean, he's got wallet chains and like plaid pants and everything. And we started talking on I was like, your parents let you dress like that? And he was like, yeah, they don't really care. They don't care. And he was like, my brother's in a band. Like my brother's in this band. And we started hanging out at school because he liked Green Day. I liked Green Day. So we became instant friends, and I started going over to his house and stuff. And his older brother was in a band called Plaster, and Plaster is what. That's when I realized I wanted to play punk rock music because I grew up watching them practice in their basement, and they were like maybe 13, 14 years old, and so they were a couple years older than I was. They may not even been that old, but by the time I was in middle and high school, they were probably, almost in their 20s. They were like 18, 19 years old. And they changed my life. Like watching them play, because they were kind of like not like ska punk, but they played like dub, like reggae, and then like
Yeah.
fast skate punk. So they were big stoners, potheads, and that's when I discovered that. So that's after seeing them play, that's when I knew that that's just what I was going to be doing.
Damn, third grade. That's pretty insane. 'Cause third grade, see, for me, in third grade, I was listening to Run DMC,
Hell yeah.
uh, Michael Jackson's, because the Thriller album came out a couple years before that. Um, Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh yeah, I had a
Um,
Weird Al tape. I think like the first three cassette tapes I ever owned was Coolio's Gang. It was Gangster's Paradise,
okay,
and it had just it was the single, so it had like
okay.
the edited version on one side and the unedited on the other. That's all.
Yep,
That's
yep.
all it was on it. And
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
think I had Dookie. Somebody gave me Dookie. I think my older brother, gave me his copy because he didn't like them.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, I mean he did, but he was more into Corn.
that was like, yeah, it's crazy that Dookie and Corn came out like the same time period. And it
Yeah.
they were both from the West Coast. One was from NorCal, one was from SoCal. Two different styles of music.
Yeah.
But those two albums were a huge impact on the music scene.
I love Corn. I mean, I
Oh
do like
yeah.
them. I like them
Oh,
still to
I
today.
remember when I first heard it. I wasn't my thing at the time, but I when I first heard it, I was like, "The fuck is this shit?" And
Dude,
then,
Got the Life and Freak on a Leash. I still like those songs, man. Those songs are
yeah,
great.
oh, I still fuck with Korn even now. Only okay, and I've even listened to all the newer shit too. The only album I didn't care was the one they did with Skrillex, but you know, that was kind of
That'll
interesting.
probably take a couple years. People will come around and be like, it wasn't that bad. Like it was kind of ahead of its time, I
Yeah,
guess,
10,
maybe.
10 years from now, they're gonna be like, "That was a classic Cooking Corn album,
Albums like
man."
that take a long time to come around, but when they do, people are like, man, they were on some real shit back then. Like people just couldn't recognize.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, that's what got me into punk rock, man, was like growing up and watching them play music. And eventually, they grew up and they moved out west, and the band broke up, and they had a bunch of tumultuous issues, and on and off drugs, and just it was pretty tragic. But then a couple years later, they got back together. They did a reunion show. I think that was in like 2017 or 2018, maybe.
In
It was
Nashville,
in Franklin. No, they played at the Pond. uh,
really,
I don't
that
remember
place
the.
is that place is so small, but I like playing there.
I don't, because for multiple reasons, but mainly because they don't move the tables and chairs, and like
Yeah.
everyone's just sitting down. I came in one day and I was like, why are all these people sitting down? Like, is this fucking Sunday school? Like, why is everyone sitting down? Like, move these tables
we
and chairs so like people can actually like stand up and enjoy the music. Like, it was silly.
we we played there. Taken Under played there. Well, not. It's, I guess it's more recent than what we did. It's probably 2017, maybe. And it was like a fucking metal fest. It was all metal bands, right? Like
Really?
it
That's
was
interesting.
us, this band called Autumn Light Buried from Clarksville, this other band called I Am the Law from Nashville area. I guess maybe Dixon. And I can't remember the other band, but it was metal as fuck. But there was nobody there, but it was fun to play there because it was just all the band members and we just did what the fuck, whatever, It was a
Right.
good time. And the Mexican spot next door was pretty cool.
Oh, that's what's
Um,
up.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love
But no,
Mexican
yeah.
food.
The only time you never ate Mexican food is when you played the Muse because if you shit, you could either shit in the Muse and get some kind of disease, or you got to go to the porn store. And it was sad that the porn store was cleaner than the Muse. But good
Oh, it's so
times.
true. It's so true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it was hilarious, man. That was some interesting times. And then there was that storage unit place that was like right around the corner.
I never
And
got to see any shows there.
I saw one show that I played there one time with Hollywood. It
I was
was
about to say it was Hollywood.
Heart Attack in Hollywood, and Ruiner played.
Okay, I didn't know if it was Ruiner or This Is Hell because I know one
It's
of the
probably them
shows,
too, if I can't remember, but
but it was a rowdy fucking show because it was in that little storage space. And if I'm not mistaken, the show was moved there because it got canceled somewhere else or no? If you
something like
remember.
that. Something
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
that. I don't know. All I know is it was a
Hollywood
hardcore
was
show in like this tiny storage unit with like one fan in the back that like people kept running into this like oscillating fan. It was ridiculous.
Hollywood.
It was
Hollywood was a good
ridiculous,
band.
dude. They had all the amps all the way in the very back, and the drums were like right in front of the amps, and the singer was basically standing on the drum kit the entire time. There was
That was
no room
actually
for anybody, dude. It was ridiculous.
that was Hollywood's practice space, right?
Probably. I think it was
Yeah.
their practice space, and I think that was like the second show that Heart Attack ever played, if I
Yeah.
remember any of this correctly. I mean, this could all just be a fever dream,
Hey,
but
it's hard.
I'm pretty sure that happened.
Yeah, it's hard to remember all the things that we've done over the years, especially when you're in more than one band. And even though it's you, but being in all these different bands, all these shows, all just fucking in your head, there's like,
It does.
wait, what?
It kind of blurs
Um,
together, but it'll come to you like occasionally, like you'll remember something that you hadn't thought about, and 10, 15 years, and just like that was crazy. And then you don't have anyone to like really reminisce about, because like I don't know where any of these people are. You know what I mean? Like it's just something I just sit there, I'm just like, wow, and just kind of take it in for a moment, and then just
Yep.
kind of, say, well, that was cool.
So so third grade, you became a little punk head, and
Yeah.
then you got into hardcore in like the say 10th grade ish. But
Something like that.
so
Yeah. No, it was actually a
well,
little early. It was a little earlier than that, because I've always been to punk rock, like, and I always, and like I've even like the street punky stuff. No, it's okay. So here's a story for you. Actually, like the first band I've ever was in, the first band was called
okay.
Disarmed, and I think I was in the ninth grade. I think, and I
Huh.
played this really crappy Fender Squire Telecaster, this butterscotch yellow Telecaster, and I had this tiny little, I can't remember what amp it was, but it was like this tiny little line 6 amp, I guess. One of those little spider,
Yeah.
terrible solid state amps that you get at that age. And dude, we opened for Total Chaos at this,
What?
yeah, at this place called Hair of the Dog.
Yeah, Hair of the Dog was a cool little spot, but it was like, what was Hair of the Dog actually? It
I
wasn't
don't
it was it?
remember, because I wasn't, it was like a bar. It was some
Yeah.
kind of bar. I wasn't old enough to even be there.
Wait, that wasn't on Broadway, was it?
I don't even remember, dude, because like I had to get a ride there.
I think it was on Broadway because I think
I couldn't drive, dude. I was like 12 years old or something. I don't fucking remember. I had to have been like I was like 14 or 15.
okay.
And yeah, it was like my first band ever. Uh and we somehow, like, the guy, the promoter who was booking bands, like he it was Conflict and Total Chaos,
Wow.
and Cretan Grimm's played. Mike Sims can
Yeah,
verify
yeah.
this because he was there, and he was killing it at the time. So I believe it was his band Cretan Grimm's. What
They're
who
not
was?
a band anymore, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mike is still doing something music wise,
Yeah.
but somehow I think he may have gotten us on the show, or somebody was like, these kids are cool, we need to have them play. And we opened for them, and there was like, nobody there. And then a couple years later, maybe even like a year or two later, I think it was like the same people booked. It was Total Chaos and the fucking Exploited. The
Fuck yeah.
fucking Exploited. I didn't open that show. I didn't play that
Oh,
show, but I saw them play in some warehouse in downtown Nashville, and it was like nobody was there. It was the weirdest thing. There was maybe like 15 people there.
I mean, it's like it's like now if that package came, say, Total Chaos, somebody else, it would be fucking sold out.
Hopefully, yeah. But this was
You know?
this was like that weird time where I think punk rock in Nashville was kind of like, it just wasn't really happening a whole lot.
Yeah.
And maybe it was, but I just remember it being like that. And then like the hardcore scene was like blowing up.
It
So
was
like
huge.
we just started going to hardcore shows, because it was like, the punk shows were just kind of like not doing the best. And then a few years later, it kind of changed again.
Oh
But
yeah.
I just remember that being a really, really weird time. But yeah, I got to see the Exploited in this freezing cold warehouse. Like, I don't even think Total Chaos played because they didn't get paid.
Oh yeah.
I think something like that happened.
Uh,
It was
talk about
weird.
where
Totally weird.
talk about warehouses. Did you ever go to 615 Records?
Once, yeah. I saw
Um,
Plaster play there once. And no, I went there twice, because I saw Plaster there and whoever they played with, and I saw This Is Hell.
was that
Uh,
with Love Is Red?
I think it was, yeah, it was Love Is Red and This
Um,
Is Hell, I believe. Yeah.
that place was short lived. It was a cool little spot, but it was in like a business park. It wasn't really a venue area, you know.
Yeah, well, it was really hard to find.
Mm-hmm. I remember my buddy Metal Mike. He sang in a band called oh shit, Through Death and Crimson. You remember them?
No.
What about okay? So there was an era too of like when Next Gen was the spot. Were you going to Next Gen at all?
I went to Next Gen once, but that was a little bit before my time because I was still pretty
Okay.
young. But I saw that was the first time I saw Look What I Did, and I think it was Look What I Did and Plaster played, and Plaster just put out some little EP, the Dukes of Williamson EP, if I remember correctly. They just put that out, and it was only burnt CDs.
Nice. Right. Well, you know what? That's what most of us did back then, you
That's
know?
that's all you really could do back then. But that was the first time I saw Look What I Did,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I think I was going to go see Hopes Fall there when it was
mhm.
like when Hopes Fall was just getting started, but I don't think I ended up going like making it for some reason. My brother went, that's what it was, and he was telling me about it, and he was like, "You got to see this band called Hopes Fall. They're incredible."
I didn't really go to many shows there. Never got to play there. Uh, I remember seeing,
Me neither.
I don't remember who the fuck I've seen play there, but I only went maybe one or two times. I think I saw like just local bands, but I know a lot of big bands like Zayo played there.
Mm-hmm.
Living Sacrifice, you know, a bunch of the band. I don't know, you know, but I know Slaughter went there all kinds of different times. Um, so we, so after the Heavy Sleepers, not heavy. I
We
want to
haven't got
jump to Heavy
have
Sleeper.
we haven't even gotten there yet.
I
Yeah.
know. I keep meaning. All right, Heart Attack, Murdoch. After Murdoch, what happened?
That was I. Let me think. So Murdoch, we put out a lot of music in a really short time. We put out two full lengths, like two different EPs, and then like a 20 song demo that had
Shit.
like basically all of us, and we re-recorded one song like three different times. But so our big thing was we did that tour with Comeback Kid and Set Your Goals, Title Fight, and we did like the Nashville, Arkansas, uh, Arizona, New Mexico, and then San Diego,
Oh, okay.
California, or Chain Reaction,
You
which was
play Chain
cool.
Reaction?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
that was awesome. And then after that, we drove to Texas and we met up with Stuck Lucky, and we did the rest with Stuck Lucky on the way back. And
Shout
then
out to
after,
Stuck Lucky.
yeah, for real, America's longest running ska band.
Um, they just played. They played Muddy Roots last year, right? Or
I
this
I
year?
don't know. I
Yeah,
probably.
they're still doing it. Um,
Uh, we I want to play with them again.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how often they're trying to play or not play,
yeah.
but I'm always peeping their Instagram and I'm always liking their stuff. So
All right.
shout out to
So
them.
wait, what was the last year of Murdoch?
I believe okay, so it was 2011.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what happened. So after Murdoch, that was kind of when I'm gonna refer to as my gun for hired gun guitar player for hire type thing.
All right. Well, hold on
Um,
then. Let me ask about then. If you're going to go that route right now, was one of those bands Ill Patriot?
that's right. Yeah. So the difference being was I actually was an actual member of Ill Patriot
You
at that point.
were?
Yeah. So I actually
Oh,
joined that band as like an actual member.
okay.
Like because I run into Perry Bean like all the time. Like him and I go way back, from, shows or whatever. And he like came into Jersey Mike's randomly. I was working at Jersey Mike's, and he was like, "Wes, hey, what's going on, man? Good to see you." And I was like, "Oh, hey, Barry, what's going on?" He was like, "Dude, are you playing music? Like, blah blah blah." And I was like, no, like I'm trying to start a new thing. He was just like, "Oh, you need to come over and jam. We should hang out and jam." He's just invited me over to his house, and he was like, "You need to play guitar in Ill Patriot." And he showed me a couple songs, and I was like, "Dude, I'm down. Like, I want
Hell
to play
yeah.
heavy again." So that's I played a little, got back into the hardcore. They did play an E standard, but it was still like hardcore, which was fun. And so
I enjoyed that.
Perry Bean was on vocals, and there was another revolving door of guitar player, like rhythm guitar players. So like three or four different people came and went in that time, and then it was like Freddie and Aaron in the band as well. And so I did that for a couple years, and I put out an EP with them. It was the Mariah Conquering Winds, I believe it was called. It was their last EP, so I played on that with them.
Did did you play Clarksville with them
I don't
at the
rem-
at the coup?
Not with Hill Patriot, no.
Okay. I had booked because I booked the Ill Patriot and they played here in Clarksville at the Coup
I
one
played the
time.
coup a few different times. I played with Murdoch a few different times, and I think I want to say some X Day might have played there. No, it was
No.
Murdoch. It was Murdoch
Oh, wait, hold
and
on.
then later Heavy Sleepers played the coup.
There was two different Coup there's well, actually
I played them
one.
both.
There's
Wasn't there
three
like
different
three?
Coup. There's three Coup locations. But I remember you guys played one of them with the G Dub reunion show, like not a reunion show, but like an anniversary show, like a 10-year anniversary or
Yeah,
20
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. That
And
was
I was
Heavy
supposed
Sleepers.
okay. I got really blitzed that night and ended up just disappearing and went home.
I remember
So I didn't
that.
get yeah.
Well,
I didn't
you
get
came up to me. I saw you. I won't repeat what you said to me, but we were laughing because it was one of the gnarliest things. Like it was so out of pocket, and like you came up and you're like Wes, what's up, dude? And then you like kind of you didn't like cuss me out, but you said something so fucking funny that we just started laughing. I was like, Russ, what's up? You gave me a big hug and shit. And like, I think you call me some name, like some dwarf or you call me a name that was so funny. And I can't remember what it was.
yeah.
But I do remember seeing you there. And then that wasn't the last time I'd seen you, but that was I don't think I saw you for a little while after that
Yeah.
though. But
Yeah.
that was a fun night though. That was the first Heavy Sleeper show ever
Oh,
that we
really?
yeah, so that was the first time
Andy was in the band, right?
yeah, that was me, Andy, and Luke. Yeah.
Okay.
Luke, the
Luke
son
from
from
and
Tony Newman's son.
okay, that's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So go back to your hired gun now. So hired guns, Ill Patriot.
Okay,
But you
so
said
yeah,
you're actually in the band. Okay.
right. So that was an interesting time because I think I was in like three bands at once, and I'm trying to piece this all together. So because so yeah, I started jamming with Ill Patriot, and I played with them for a couple years. Because I remember moving because I was moving in a few different locations. I was living I moved back to Nashville and I had an apartment there in South Nashville with my roommate David, and we hung out there. And so I would go back and forth between there, and that was kind of the time when I started having to take the bus everywhere because my car kept
Yeah.
breaking down. And so I was jamming with them and writing songs with them and playing shows with them around town. And and I think so we actually ended up opening for the Misfits. That's actually one of my favorite memories with Ill Patriot.
Wow.
We played sold out show at Exit In where we opened for the Misfits. But when I say the Misfits, it was a one of those weird incarnations with it was one of the Jerry only incarnations with like Des Cadena on guitar
Okay.
and Robo on drums. So they were
Well,
doing
that's
like the
kind of
weird.
cool. Yeah.
They're doing the three piece. I think it was around the time the Project 1950s situation. They were doing something with that. So it was really goofy, and it wasn't necessarily like the Misfits like everybody wanted to see, but it was still cool enough to where I was like, yeah, I got to open for the fucking Misfits. You know what I
I
mean? So
mean, just those three dudes right there, though. I mean, those three dudes that you got to
I
fucking
mean,
open.
it was legendary for sure, and it was a sold out show, and I think that may have actually been the last Ill Patriot show ever. That might have been, as far as I know, unless they got back together and they did something over without me. But that was a lot of fun. That was so cool, and so in between that time was when I was still writing music for what would have been Murdoch because I had like tons of songs once Murdoch broke up. Like
Okay.
we ended, and it was not like a band breakup. We just like we're like, okay, we're done. We've done enough. Like we just ended. So it wasn't like no hard feelings or anything like that. We just were like, okay, we're all moving on now. But I had all these songs and riffs and stuff, and I was like, well, I mean, what am I gonna do with all this material that would have been Murdoch stuff? But I wanted to kind of go in more of like a darker, serious because Murdoch was pretty goofy and it was like kind of it was way more on the pop punk, skate punk stuff. So I wanted to do something that was still punk rock, but a little bit darker, a little bit heavier. And Ill Patriot was kind of like a good entrance into that. Like I was,
Yeah.
kind of getting warmed up for that. but I had a bunch of songs that I didn't want to use for them. I was like,
Yeah.
I selfishly, I was like, I kind of want to hang on to these because they don't really, I don't think they would fit for like, what they were trying to do. And that's when Heavy Sleeper started. And so I started working on that in the background, and I started getting that going. But then, as soon as Heavy Sleepers kind of started, and I was still doing Ill Patriot, that's when the twins called me,
Okay.
and Nat and Rob and Eric all reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, like, how would you like to go on tour with Blacklist Royals?" And I was
Okay.
like, "Well, let me check my calendar. Yeah, I'll do it."
Hell yeah.
So I did
Now,
that, and I toured with them for a couple of years until my time was up, and then I moved on from that. And Ill Patriot ended up, I think, played that last show. I think that was in 2015.
so you were doing, you're basically, you did the tour with Blacklist Royals, you were in Ill Patriot, and you were starting, um, um, damn
Heavy
it,
Sleepers. That was
Heavy
yeah,
Sleeper.
Heavy
Now,
Sleepers.
now
Yeah.
I forget the name that I keep saying. So you were doing all three of those bands at the same time?
Yeah, so that was probably over the course of from like 2012 to like 2016. That's kind of what it was. So it was like, yeah, so yeah, that would have been it, because there was about a year from like basically 2011 was just kind of like I wasn't in a band. Ill Patriot was just kind of, I was just getting started with that. I don't even
Okay.
really think I started jamming with them until like 2012. And so it had to have been in that time period, like, uh I believe 2012 through 2014, 2015, I think was so I did Blacklist Royals with those guys for a little while. Got to do a lot of touring with them, saw a bunch of cool places, had a crazy times, and rode down with Eric and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. We had
Um,
so many freaking inside jokes that nobody would understand, so I'm not even gonna waste time on it. But just saw a bunch of cool stuff. Ate a lot of poutine in Canada.
hell
We
yeah.
played Fest down in Gainesville. That was
Hold on.
awesome.
That's the oh, damn it. It's the, what is that fest called?
Just the fest,
Oh, the fest. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the fest.
Yep.
That was
That's pretty.
wild. Saw so many good bands. It was
Yeah.
insane. I did Europe, toured Europe with those guys, and went to like 20 different countries in like a month. It was so
In
wild.
Europe, when you all did the European tour, I don't know if this was this tour you were on, but I know they did two of them. But did y'all meet any, did with anybody, who were some of the bands you all opened up for on that tour?
So what I remember, that one in particular, that the one European tour I did with those guys, they kind of had a deal set up with another band called Amber Lynn.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so like I think the twins were filling in on like drums and guitar for Amber Lynn, maybe
Oh, okay.
for like the first half of that tour. And then me and Eric went and met up with them, flew all the way over to freaking Germany, sat in the airport for like 8 hours, just waiting to get picked up. And then we did the second half as a headlining Blacklist Royals tour.
Oh wow.
So we did mostly headlining club shows. Some were really good and some were not so great, as most tours are. But
Oh yeah.
the big shows in Europe that we did was with the Do Nots. We opened for the Do Nots, which is like a huge band in Germany, a huge punk rock pop punk band in Germany.
Okay.
And we opened for them in like in the biggest club of the whole, I wouldn't even call it a club because it was like not quite an arena, but it was like an amphitheater style. And it was huge. I mean, there was like 800-900 people there. And that was a lot of fun. And we were almost late to that show. We had to basically just like roll up. We got to the club, threw everything on stage, barely got a sound check, and just had to play and then get off. It was insane. And that was nuts. Um, but from what I remember from the European tour, that was pretty much it. But it was mostly, I mean, it was like they were promoting. They had like a B-sides album,
Hmm.
or they had an EP. I think it was an EP that they had just put out, and they were kind of promoting touring that.
Yeah.
And they were working with like a small label that basically I think was distributing and putting out. So we were working with them during that whole thing. And as far as I remember, that was pretty much it. So it was mostly club shows, except for that Do Not show. That Do Not show was huge.
So no, you didn't play any festivals at all with them?
Not there. We did the big one we did was Pooza Fest in
Okay.
Montreal, and
Okay.
I think this was 2012. That's what year this was. Pooza Fest was 2012, and I think Europe was the next year in 2013. But Pooza Fest was the one. That show was incredible. That was the
Oh
first
yeah.
time I played in front of like 1,000 people, and
Are-
we absolutely killed it. We smashed that show. It was so much fun, and going touring all the way up through Canada, all the way through Ontario. I got to go to Toronto. Toronto is a beautiful place, and
Nice.
playing some smaller towns on the way up there. But getting once we got to Montreal and we opened for I believe it was Hot Water Music, the
Wow.
Menzingers, Bouncing Souls, and Blacklist Royals. It was the first night of
Nice.
Pooza Fest, and
So,
I was I wasn't even nervous. Like I was just so in my element, and I
oh
just got
yeah.
up there and we just as soon as we started playing, it was so much fun.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, that was a really really good time. There's some videos out there. I think Eric may have some videos out there. He did his little spin move. It was awesome,
I
man.
I did look up when after I talked with him a few episodes back. I went on and looked up on YouTube, but I never even thought about. I knew you were doing something with them, but I didn't know if you were in the band after he left and then you came in. I didn't realize y'all did this together.
Yeah,
Um,
so no, Eric was still in it, but then after I think it was after those couple tours was kind of when I realized I was like, I just want to do my own thing. Like I want to do like I got some great opportunities with those guys, and I got
oh
mad
yeah,
respect for them. They're super cool. They're all really good dudes, really talented people. But it was one of those things where I wanted to play my own stuff. Like I've been doing my own bands for so long, and I felt kind of the same way with Ill Patriot as well. I had more creative freedom than Ill Patriot because I was writing stuff for them, but
okay,
it still wasn't like 100% my own stuff. And that's where I really honestly just wanted to be. I was like, I had to make a choice to where I was going to be the hired gun, just the touring guitar player, or I was just going to basically stay at home and just play
hmm
music with my friends and just play what I want to play.
yeah,
And sometimes you have to make that choice. And I got to see a lot of cool stuff. Um, I got to go to so many cool cities, meet so many cool people, play some rad shows. But I just said, you know what, man, like I want to do my own thing, and
yeah,
whatever
yeah, yeah.
comes from that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be okay with it. And so that's when after the Blacklist Royals, and I think after the Ill Patriot show, that last Ill Patriot show is when I went full steam ahead with Heavy Sleepers.
Cool. So now you heavy sleepers. Uh, did you do solo stuff too?
That was after. That was later.
Okay,
That was
okay.
actually more
So
recently.
okay. So how long did heavy sleepers go for?
Heavy Sleepers started. I mean, I had been writing music that ended up being for Heavy Sleepers like for years.
Mhm.
Like a lot of songs I've been working on my own, trying to craft a sound for it that was like it was like Murdock but heavier and darker.
Sure.
Um and more have more of a hardcore influence. Like that's when I decided that I was going to start singing full time.
So
So I had been working on singing, for years and years, and I always sang along to music and stuff. But it wasn't even in Murdoch, I sang a little bit, but it wasn't until I decided that. Well, we were like, well, that was the thing. Like me and Andy, we were talking about doing music again. We did Some X Day, we did Heart Attack together, and so we'd always got together and jammed and kind of pushed each other as far as songwriting goes. Like we'd always help each other out with songs and stuff like that. And we always meshed well together musically, like for years. So we were just kind of like, like, okay, we wanted to get Luke on the drums because Luke is an incredible drummer.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
one of our best friends, and we're like, so my dream was always to have the three of us do the band. And we were like, well, who's gonna sing? Should we get another guitar player? And I just said, no, dude, fuck it. Like, let's stop relying on everybody else and let's just rely on each other, just the three of us. Let's do a three-piece, bass, guitar, drums, and me and you will be the singers. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
Andy's got a great voice. He's an
Oh
incredible
yeah.
songwriter, writes insanely good hooks. And I was pushing myself to be a better singer, play guitar, sing at the same time. And I started screaming too. Started working on like just screaming my head off. And I was like, fuck it, we're gonna do it. Like it's just gonna be the three of us. Like we don't need anybody else. Let's just do it. And we did. We just started jamming. We got a storage unit. We started jamming there. We jammed at my friend's house. Like we jammed at my friend's parents' office that was
Yeah.
that was like in a garage. They had a like a construction business. So
Okay.
they had this office that was like a small building like outside of their house, like where they had like a kitchen and a conference room and like two little offices. And they just had like this garage where they kept like their lawnmowers and stuff, like big ass riding lawnmowers and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
There was another little room that had just like a desk in it. Just nobody was using it. And we didn't tell his parents for like the longest time, but my friend just let us use it. He was like, yeah, y'all just come and jam. And so they brought us over and we just packed together in this tiny little room. We had this massive drum kit. We decided we were going to use full stacks.
Oh shit. In a practice space.
We had a giant bass cab that had like two bass cabs in. I had my Marshall stack and my PV head. And I got another cab from somebody. I think it was actually my brother's. My brother was like, yeah, you can have this other cab. He had another Marshall cab. And I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna have a full stack in this band. And it was the loudest fucking thing. I mean, it's taller, way taller than me. I mean, this thing's
Oh
huge.
yeah.
And we were like, we're gonna do a three-piece. Let's just be the loudest fucking three-piece like ever. And that's how Heavy Sleeper started, man. And that was probably 2014. Maybe 2013, 2014. I can't remember. I could probably go through my Instagram and
I'm
find exactly
I'm gonna
when
think it was.
there.
I'm thinking it was 2013 because if it was G Dub's anniversary, it would have been 10 years, and they started in 2020 or 2003.
I'm gonna see if I can
So
verify a single
who is
date.
this right here? Who is this? Is this
Oh, that's the Zomboy.
okay? Is that Heavy Sleeper? Or is that
That's Graveyard
Graveyard?
Kids. That's
Okay.
Graveyard Kids.
Yeah, you
That's our
sent me some
logo.
shit. You sent me some shit, and I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I did. I sent you a little care package back then, didn't I?
Yeah, I got you sent me a Heavy Sleeper shirt, and I gave it to my boy at work because it fit him a little bit more. It would fit
Oh,
me.
really?
Um,
I've got some more. Okay, so here's the picture of the full stack. This was in 2014. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that?
Holy shit! Yeah,
That's on my
that's
Instagram.
yep.
I missed
That's
that
pretty
guitar too. I don't have that guitar anymore. So that was 2014 is when
okay.
Heavy Sleepers was really starting to get going. I think I had been working on it for a couple of years, but it never really came to fruition until about 2014. And I think that's when I exited both um
Yeah, that's right.
all the
That
other
makes
bands.
sense.
And so
14 makes sense.
I was just doing Heavy Sleepers for a couple years. I think I finally pulled the plug on Heavy Sleepers in like 2017
Okay.
because I mean Luke and Andy both just they just dropped out at some point, and then I had some other friends who liked the band and liked the songs, and they helped me play a couple shows and get the EP out, and then after that we're like, okay, like that's enough.
So is
That's enough.
I'm looking it up now. Is Heavy Sleepers is on the Spotify, right?
Yeah, the second EP is, and the first EP, the Holy War EP is on my YouTube channel, I believe.
Oh, there's more than one Heavy Sleepers
I'm sure there is.
on here. um. So all right. So 2017. So did that after that? Is that when you decided to do graveyards?
No, so pretty much I kind of just I think at that point I like I stopped doing music for a while after Heavy Sleepers because I was like really disappointed with how Heavy Sleepers ended because we went through a few different drummers, bunch of different lineups. We played some really good shows and some really bad show, like some really really awful shows where people were just like stopping in the middle of the show, and it was like honestly embarrassing. And it was kind of like you said earlier. I think you know where you're like you feel you're just being a dead horse.
Yep.
You're like, it wasn't fun. It was kind of embarrassing. And I pulled the plug on it. I just said, I'm done. And I
Well,
think I had to take a break from music for a couple years at that point. Cause I think at that point I was like almost 30.
yeah, you're getting
I,
old.
I was like 27 or 28. And I was broke as fuck. I was like living in a loft, like,
But you
so
also got to think though too.
I,
You had been going for almost 15 years at that point because you started, like you said, freshman of high school. You started doing a band.
yeah,
You started playing music.
yeah,
So you had been going for a fucking long time, and not to mention, you toured to Europe, you toured Canada, you toured the U.S. off and on with so many different, three different bands or whatever.
yeah.
You've been busting your ass. So yeah, a break. You probably deserve that break.
Well, it was it. I mean, I wouldn't say it was deserved. It just happened because I just got to a point where like it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Like the shows were really terrible. I was like not the healthiest. I was probably drinking way too much.
Yeah, that does take a
Super
toll.
super depressed. I think also that was like peak atheism, so like I was just really depressed like all the time and like having issues
Well,
with my family, not doing well with the ladies. I was really down.
I got you. Yeah, yeah.
I was really really just down on myself. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna work. I need to get my money up. And that was kind of so I like took like a couple years off music where I wasn't really in a band. I think I did like I played a few things with like a few different people. I played a show with Bowling Green. My buddy Toby Toll,
Okay.
him and Mark, like they had their band and they helped me out with Heavy Sleepers for a while. And I think I played a couple shows in one of their bands, but that was also like I just wasn't having fun doing that. So I took a complete break from music. And so it was just about a whole year or two of just nothing but just work, keeping my head down, start exercising, eating good, like laying off the alcohol. And but I was still
Were
playing
you
guitar.
okay? I was about to say, were you still writing still?
Dude, I can't not write music.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't not. But that point in my life was something. So all I had was just my guitar and my little practice amp and my pedal board and this little loft I was living in with me and the cat. And it was just like I would just sit there. I would just come home from work. I would just sit there and I would just play guitar for like 3 4 hours. And I would just start it. And that was when I was like, okay, I need a change. So let's down tune. Let's start down tuning again. And this time I was like, I've been so used to playing in E standard. I was like, you know what? Let's keep standard tuning, but or we'll drop down just a half step. I was like, let's just go down a half step to like, E flat or whatever, D sharp. There is a difference, by the way. I've
Yeah.
been told there is a difference, but D sharp, I believe. So a half step down, and I just started writing riffs at this time. I said, I'm done writing songs. I'm going to take a break from writing songs. I'm just going to riff because I'm at the point in my life where like I just pretty much write songs, but and then the riffs come later, like over the
Yeah.
songs. But this time I was like, fuck it, I'm only gonna write riffs, and that's
Okay.
all I did for like a year. And I just started writing like metal riffs in like a half step down. So it was still kind of heavy, but it wasn't like chugga chugga like beat down.
Yeah.
I started writing these really weird, like almost like 80s metal meets like pop punk, sort of.
Okay. Okay.
It was weird. It was like I just started writing really weird stuff.
Sounds interesting.
It was. I guess you could. I guess it was interesting, but that's just where my mind was, and I just said, like I'm not going to try and write any lyrics. I'm not going to try and write anything like that. I'm just going to focus on riffs, and I did that for a couple years, and eventually it got to the point to where I moved out of that loft I was in. I moved into the place I'm at now,
Okay.
and once I got away from that living space, it was like a total shift in my life. Like my life completely changed. I had a new perspective, and I was definitely living better. I was doing a lot better at work. Making my money up and everything like that. And it was around, I think this had to have been 2018 or 2019, and I was ready. At that point, I was like, I'm ready to start a new band. I'm ready to get
Yeah.
back at it. And this is when I met my buddy Micah, who is playing guitar with me now,
All right.
and we started a little band called Anti Fun.
Okay. I'm about to ask you about that later, but yeah, go ahead.
So that's where we're at now. So
Okay.
so I find so and those are all those riffs, all those weird things. I was like, I'm gonna do something so out of pocket that like it's not gonna be what's totally expected of me. Because most people think I play like My Chemical Romance or something, which people assume that just
Oh
right
yeah.
right off the jump. So I was like, I'm gonna do something completely different, and put together this weird little project where it was a guitar, drums, bass, and a keyboard.
All right.
And we had this really talented piano player who came in, and he was playing like a really gnarly like church organ. And so all those like metal riffs and stuff I started using for that. And we started playing shows out, and the keyboard was really cool because it just created a wall of sound. It was just like
Okay. Yeah.
and then my guitar being like the 80s style, like heavily distorted PV 6505, it meshed really, really well.
Okay.
And uh it was just this really, I'm not gonna say it's goofy, but it was almost cartoonish sounding.
Okay. Well, at this point with this project, was there no bass player?
No, there was no Micah.
Okay.
Micah started playing bass. So
Okay.
Micah
Okay.
eventually he said, it was one of those situations where he was like, he wanted to try out for rhythm guitar.
Okay.
And so I was kind of faced like, okay, well, he said, well, he's one of those guys like, well, I'll do either one. I'll play
Yeah.
bass, I'll play guitar, I just want to play. And I was like, okay, well, if you just start playing bass, we can just start playing shows. If you just learn the songs on the bass, we have at least a lineup.
Yeah.
And so he showed up, and one of the most punk rock dudes I've ever met in my entire life, by the way. It was Micah. Micah shows up to practice one day, green mohawk, just like like tatted up, torn up shirt, vest, smoking and cigarette. He pulls up in this like 1980 some Fiero, but it's like
Oh,
every part
nice.
of the car is like, it's like not it's like parts of the car were different colors, like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
like they had
Yeah.
different pieces from like different cars. He shows up, and he's eating tuna out of a bag, like he's eating like a bag of tuna.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I just got off work, so I came in, I had to grab something to eat." I've never seen someone just eat tuna out of a packet. I was like, "This motherfucker's crazy." And
Wait, so you had not known him yet? You just knew him?
so we met. I put out. This is so funny. No, I put out like basically just a post on the National Punk page on Facebook, just like, "Hey, like, who wants to play some music? Like, who plays bass, who plays guitar? Like, dude, I'm starting this project." And he was one of like five people that was interested, and he was the only one that I truly considered, because he was the only one
Okay.
that actually made sense. And
Hmm.
so I went over to his house, and we just jammed to play guitar on his front porch, and we just hit it off right then and
Oh
there.
yeah.
And our styles mesh really well. We like a lot of the same bands and a lot of the same stuff like that. And he had only been living in Tennessee for, I think, only like 2 years at that point. He had moved from
Okay.
Texas or something. So he was trying to get back into music. And so he started playing bass for Anti Fun. And so that's kind of when our music partnership started. And Anti-Fun got cut short though because we started playing in like summer of 2019, and we were playing like 3 times a week, like practice wise, and we had a
Okay.
show like we had a bunch of shows in an extremely short period of time, and then 2020 rolls around,
Yeah.
and as soon as March hits, we just stopped. We're like, well, band's done. COVID hit and fucked
Yeah.
everything up. So it
That
just
sucked.
Yeah, so it just abruptly ended. Like, just rug got pulled out from underneath us on that.
But COVID hits, and so many fucking bands started during COVID. Like
That's right.
it's crazy on how many bands came out of COVID. So
So that was a weird time because I spent all this time taking a break from music,
yep.
getting my life together, getting my shit together, and then ready to hit the world like full steam again, get back out, start playing gigs again, start doing that. And we started recording. And then when COVID hits, it was just like done. It was like
Yep.
completely blew up in my face, right back to fucking square one. And that
Is
was, well, go ahead.
is there any anti-fun recordings that are
There's
out there?
one. There's
Okay.
one, and there's on my YouTube channel. There's some clips, and there's a live set. There's a couple songs that are got filmed, and they're on my YouTube channel. Yeah.
On your YouTube channel, basically you have everything from everything about everything from something you've done.
Yeah, I've got yeah, there's videos from Blacklist Royals, Murdock, and Heavy Sleepers, and I have the Some X Day live sets on there. A bunch of just Murdock recordings. I have more that I just haven't uploaded that are just sitting on my computer or on a hard
Yeah.
drive somewhere. I have a lot more stuff that I've been meaning to do. It's just finding the time to do it between that and the band now. It's just,
Correct.
it's just really time consuming. So, but I'll get around to it eventually. And at some point I am gonna re-release all the Heavy Sleeper stuff on Spotify under because I'm gonna get it off of like the old distributor that it's on.
What were
Re
you
up
using?
I did. I think it was CD Baby back in the
Yeah.
day, and then now I've got an account at DistroKid, which I'm releasing all my music under now.
That's what I use,
That's what most
so
people do. So I plan on re-releasing all the Murdoch stuff that I can find, and all the Heavy Sleeper stuff, and have it all on Spotify,
oh yeah.
and all under one label. You know, so.
So now COVID hits and what happens?
Oh well, the world shut down and everybody was miserable for a while, and I was one of the few people that still had to go to work.
Same.
I had to go to work. So that was kind of when. So I knew Anti-Fun was just kind of done. And it was just a goofy, silly project, anyways. It wasn't something we were going to take super seriously, but so that was kind of when I focused on just recording, and I linked up with a buddy of mine named Charlton Moore, who does tonal autonomy and Franklin Strap. He
Mhm.
runs a bunch of really really cool companies, and I've known him for years. And him and I go way back to the Franklin days, and I hit him up like out of curiosity because we've been friends on Instagram and stuff, and I noticed that he was just constantly recording, and he was doing like hip hop and like lo-fi and like
Yep.
classical music. I mean, because
All
he's
right.
like a he's not into the punk and hardcore world like you and I are.
Yeah, yeah.
He's into like music, and he likes producing people. And we started talking, and I was like, man, like the bands are kind of on the back end, kind of on the back burner at the moment. Like, would you be down to help me record some songs? And he was like, definitely. And that's when the solo stuff that I started doing my solo
Gotcha.
project.
Gotcha.
So I started working with him, and he kind of taught me the basics of like basically how to produce myself on like Studio One and Pro Tools and things like that. And he helped me. That's when I got back, and I decided to start get back into the songwriting thing because I took all the riffs, turned them all into songs, and I was like, I'm gonna get back into just writing hooks again, because that's my favorite thing to do is to write a hook. And so he really helped me with that. So this time I went into it. I had all the creativity I wanted, where it was just me and a producer, and, plugins. So I didn't have any limitations on live music. I played everything to a click track. We programmed all the drums, and I could just get so far into the songwriting process that I really took my songwriting game to the next level, in my opinion,
Oh yeah.
on this thing. And he helped me out a lot with that. So I got a lot of gratitude for him for that. And so I did that for about 2 years. I mean, dude, it was like, because I think I started hanging out with him in like, I think it was actually before even COVID even started, because he wanted to do the anti-fun recording.
Gotcha.
So I think that's how that started. And then when COVID hit, I was like, we're just going to go full speed on just recording my own stuff.
Gotcha.
And so we, over the course of 2 years, I released about I think it was like 4 or 5. It was a whole EP worth of music. We didn't do it all at once. I mean, it was like we were working one
Yeah.
song at a time. But that's the first one was How Am I Supposed to Change? Part of Me was on that
Okay.
one. The Unhappy Halloween, Looking Forward. And then there was like a bunch of other ones that we had that just didn't make the cut, just, songs that worked, some didn't work, some
Are
were
they
suited.
completed?
Some they were like halfway,
Yeah.
like they got about as far as they could go, without me being like, this could be better, this could be worse. Maybe I want to try some different. But the ones that came out good, I think really, really pushed me in the direction of wanting to take my songwriting to a point to where I felt really, really good about it. I felt really strongly about my ability to write a catchy melody, uh, and a catchy chorus.
Gotcha. Do you think that is so that is that what Graveyard Kids is what you've learned through all that
Yeah,
time? That's what Graveyard Kids is now.
Graveyard Kids, in my opinion, for me personally, because
Okay.
I'm not the only person in the band, because it is very much a band. It's not a solo project. It's not my solo project. It's very much a team effort.
Correct. Okay. Cool.
Um,
Gotcha.
but for me personally, it's the culmination of everything I've ever learned.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And it's I've everything I should have been doing with all the other projects is what I'm doing in Graveyard Kids. I decided that I was going to go back to basics. I was going to do what I'm best at. I'm going to write punk rock music, you know, with
What you know.
big with big epic choruses and catchy hooks and the best lyrics I can come up with. But I want them to be relatable while not necessarily not telling someone what to think, but getting someone to think. I
Yeah.
want people to think when they actually listen to the lyrics. It's not about any specific person, but it's about everybody and nobody at the same time. If
Gotcha.
any of that makes any fucking sense at all.
Well, I will say this: everything that I've heard from this project, I'm pretty into. I dig it. So,
Thank you, man.
um,
Thank you very
I mean,
much.
uh, and I even enjoyed the videos. That video with the animated. Who did the animation on that video?
The music video.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. We My buddy Tyler Barksdale, man, shout out to Tyler Barksdale at Common Bonds Productions, because
Okay.
he's been one of my best friends. I've known this dude since we were like in middle school together. We used to live in
All
the
right.
same neighborhoods together. Rode the school bus together. Um, we played a little bit of music together way, 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 way a long time ago when we first started learning how to play guitars and stuff. Uh, he went to school, went to college, learned a bunch of shit, and now he's like a big time like director type person. Like I wouldn't
Okay.
say big time because he's very humble, but he works
Yeah.
on TV. He works on TV shows. He works on documentaries. He's a camera operator, and he's a really creative person. He just went in a different. He went more the visual route where I went down music,
Yeah.
and he did. Well, he actually did the Heavy Sleepers music video. If you've ever seen that one.
I may have. I just don't recall it. But I mean, I'll go. It's it on YouTube, right? I'll go
It
check it
is on
out.
YouTube. It's on my YouTube
Yeah.
channel. Yeah. So So he did the Heavy Sleepers music video back in the day, and that was a lot of fun. That was the first time that not the first music video I was ever a part of, but the first one that was my band. So I was
Okay.
really proud of that. And then 8 years later, he came out to one of our show. He came out to our EP release show last September, and was just he just said he was so impressed, and he just said, I'm going to do a video for you guys."
Hell yeah.
He goes, "I'm going to do a video for you guys, and I'm going to call in some favors, and let's put it together." And so between me and him, he had a couple guys that he works with that I guess owed him a favor, and it was this photographer dude. It was a really really nice guy. He let us use his basically his photography studio, and we brought in all his equipment. And he had a team, like he had a team of people, like 3 or 4 guys that have been friends of mine
Okay.
forever. And I got to see them work in a way that they do professionally. Like it was a very very professional production for a very short amount of time, because
Hell yeah.
we did the whole thing in just a few hours. We all got there like around like 9, 10 in the morning, and we didn't start shooting until about 1. It took 3, 4 hours to set up the shoot, and bring in all our gear, and do like stand-ins and stuff like that. And he brought in these amazing camera, like 4K cameras and
Nice.
dollies and stuff, and he had it all mapped out. He had like a plan for everything, and it was one of the most professional things that I was ever a part of.
Oh yeah.
And we shot the whole thing in downtown Nashville, just in a few hours, and then we went and got Mexican and margaritas afterwards, and it was so
Hell
much
yeah.
fun. And he did all the animations himself. Like
Really?
he shot with help. A couple people helped, do camera, because we had 2 different camera operators, and lighting people and stuff like that. Uh, but he shot, edited it, and animated all of it in like a couple weeks.
Is he the same guy who drew up the characters for Graveyard Kids?
No, no.
Okay.
So no, so I've had a few different artists work on the art for Graveyard Kids, like the
Okay.
Zomboy and
Yeah.
the logo. I mean, we have a few different variations of the logo, and some tombstone, some
Yeah, yeah.
cartoonist stuff. But no, he just I mean, he likes that aesthetic, and he goes, I'm gonna, kind of do something similar. And so he created just a couple different characters, and like his CGI and AI technology. He just he did it, incorporated it, and sent me a few different cuts of the video. Because, which ones do you like? And I was like, man, they're all great. Let's
Yeah.
just let's just pick one. And we eventually we made a few changes, and between me and him and the band, and saying, okay, well, let's make sure this person gets a little more face time in the video, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
any shots we didn't like we took out. But it was relatively quick. We shot it back last November, and we released it in January.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, think about the time though difference and well, not time, but the technology now compared to back in the day to shoot a music video. It used to take a minute to shoot a music video,
Oh
then
yeah.
editing it. But
Oh yeah.
nowadays you get a video, you can get a video recorded. I mean, not the great, but you get one done in a week. Like honestly, you can shoot
You
it
can
one
do it.
week
I
and get
mean,
it
you can
out.
do it on your phone, and I mean,
Oh yeah,
there's so many free video editing apps and tutorials. It's so much easier now. Um, but which that's the challenge, because but now everyone can do it now, which
oh
is
yeah.
great. Which is a great thing. But it's also you don't want to get lost in the sauce.
I like watching when bands will, because obviously you know it as well. Obviously, everyone does a single at a time, which I think is a great idea now. And
Right.
we never thought about that back, and they were like, "Oh, we gotta get that EP out tomorrow," But
You
you
gotta
get
have
a
the
single.
18 song full length out that people are gonna listen to like 3 songs on.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, but nowadays everyone puts out a single. Not everybody, but a good majority of people. They'll put a single out, but then they'll put a video out with it. And then a couple months later, they'll put out another single and
Hmm.
another video with it, which I think that's kind of cool. Are
It is cool.
you are you down? I mean, is that what you guys are doing? A single at a time?
This year, yeah.
Yeah.
So So with the solo stuff, it was all singles,
Yeah.
and I made a couple videos just with like stock footage just for fun, just to work on video editing. So we did it that way. But with Graveyard Kids, when Mike and I decided to get real serious about starting the band up again, we started writing songs together back. I mean, almost immediately after Anti-Fun broke up. Like it was maybe about a year, because I was doing the solo stuff, just recording by myself, but I was writing like crazy. And me and Micah would work on music together, and we had a couple different drummers like come and go, and it took a minute to solidify the lineup we have now. But I very much wanted to go back to, I wanted to have an EP. Like I want to have an EP, I want to have a full length. I want to do those things, but in the meantime, you do need singles because people just don't have the time. Like
No.
unless you are a well-established, well-respected musician, and not in all cases. I mean, in my opinion, in the most part, people don't have a lot of time to devote to you, and I
No.
don't expect anybody to. So you do have to grab people in the first 30 seconds of them hearing your
Oh,
song.
for sure, for sure.
So the single route really is the best way to have people retain their attention,
Well,
honestly. And if they like
I
that one song, they're going to listen to it 100 times.
and that's what I was about to say. You put out one single, that's all they have right now. So they're gonna listen to that song over and over and over. And then when you put out another single, and that single, they're gonna be like, oh shit, we got this now. So we're gonna listen to this song over and over. And I know a lot of
Yeah.
bands that go the single route. I mean, hell, I mean, you'll get your plays that way too, because people are you like you just said, people don't sit around. Like I'm guilty too. Like if even after I listen to a record, all right, cool. There's 12 songs or 10 songs. I'm gonna listen to what I like on there and skip the ones I don't like. You
For
know.
sure.
Now,
Yeah.
if you put out single after single after single every couple of months, they can't do that.
Yeah, I
You
mean
know.
it can get kind of lame when you're like, okay, like there it's kind of sucks only putting out 3 songs in a year, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's all you can do. So what we did was with Graveyard Kids, I very much wanted to have an EP. I wanted to have, I wanted to get back to doing things, old school and legit. So, but what we did do is we went in and just recorded the first song. We recorded Lawbreaker back in like it was like early of 2022. It was like March of 2022. And we had only been jamming with Anthony joined the band in like January of 2022. Anthony's our drummer.
Okay.
When he joined the band, uh that was when Graveyard Kids really started. So we had been doing it for about half of the year of 2021. Me and Micah had a bunch of songs written, and a good friend of mine, Josh Rosa, went to high school with him, played, our bands have played together for years and years and years growing up, but we never played in a project together. I ran into him at an Angels and Airwaves show.
Damn.
I always bring that detail up because that's, I mean, it's just so funny because that's where we ran into each other for the first. I hadn't seen him in like 8, 9, 10 years maybe, and he was like,
When the hell
Wes.
was this?
That was 2021. That was October 2021.
Okay.
And he had just moved back from Denver. He had been living in like Chattanooga and Denver. He'd been kind of all over the place.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm finally back in Nashville, man. I'm like, dude, it's great to see you. I was like, are you doing any music? And he was like, no. I was like, I'm gonna call you. I was like, do you want to play music? I mean, are you interested? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm back. I got nothing to do. I'm working my job, and I want to get back into it. And I talked to him. He called him on the phone, and we talked on the phone for like a little bit. I told him the situation. I was like, I'm getting back. I'm starting a new band. Me and Micah, we just need, we need 2 other people, and we're getting back to just playing straight punk rock, like straight pop punky punk rock, but with a little bit of a horror punk twist. Not
Okay.
full on, but I just had this game plan. I was like, I got a game plan. Like I need a bass player, and Josh Rosa is very much like a bass player. He's not just like a guitar player who just gets regulated to playing the bass because no one
Yeah,
else
yeah,
wants
yeah.
to. He's a straight up badass bass player, walking bass lines, Rancid,
Nice.
like that style of music. exactly what I needed out of the bass player. And Micah wanted to get back to playing the guitar. He didn't want to play the bass anymore. He's a better guitar player. We needed a second guitar player, and that worked out. We went through a couple different drummers that tried out, and they liked the music, but I think our first drummer wanted to do just straight like doom metal. Like he just wanted to play like Lamb of God's type stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was open to like filling in, and he was like, if you guys need just a session drummer, all come hang out. And he's like, I really like you guys, but his heart wasn't in it. But when Anthony showed up, that's when we found the drummer. We found the Graveyard Kisser, and he kind of found us. Like he just liked the song. We posted a clip. We're like, hey, we need a drummer, and he was like, I'm down. And when he showed up, it's like he was always a part of the band.
Oh yeah,
dude, we hit it off so well. Like, he's such a sweet guy, such a nice dude, real soft spoken dude, but one of the funniest people. Like our humor instantly clicked. And he's kind of like we're all kind of geeky, nerdy dudes that are into like video games and comics and movies and
yeah, yeah.
shit. And he comes up and he tells me that I don't know if he wants to say, he's he goes, I collect Legos.
Hell yeah.
And normally most people would be like, fucking nerd. But I collect retro video games. So, and guitars, of course. So I was like, this dude's cool. We're going to get along great. You know what I mean? And when he joined the band, it was like shit took off.
Oh, yeah.
And within like 2 months, we recorded Lawbreaker. We recorded the first single, and we dropped that just to have music out, just to be
good.
like, that's the same version. Well, there's two different versions, but we dropped that back in 2022, in like June. We recorded it in March and dropped it in June or something like that, right around the time of our first show.
Okay.
And yeah, so and then we dropped another single at the end of that year of 2022, and we were recording in that meantime as well, like 4 other songs that were going to be on the EP.
Do you like to? I know your last single you released which was I can see the artwork on it. I just can't
New
remember the name.
Beginning. New Beginnings.
Is that the one that you had the video for?
No, so that song we recorded with the Punks Undead songs, but we just felt like we should just save one. We thought it was actually better than all the other songs, so we just decided to hold on to it to have something to release.
Gotcha.
No, so Stand to Reason is the song that we shot the video for.
Okay.
So that was the third single from the EP.
Now the core lineup right now is the same lineup now.
It's been the same. Yeah, the same lineup. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. So do you play more of the rhythm or you play more of the lead?
It depends. I have my own solo parts. Micah has some of his own solo parts. It just depends on the song. Depends on the part. I mean, if I'm singing, then there's a couple licks that he throws in there. I mean, he has his own parts where he plays leads on a few things. He like because he does these Chuck Berry like we that I just can't do. I can do these bends and stuff and hit the wah pedal, but he has his own distinct style that like so whenever that part of the song calls for his distinctness, like that play style, he does that, and then I have parts where I do my thing. But I play a lot of lead stuff. He plays a lot of lead stuff, and if I'm singing, I'm obviously doing more rhythm. So it's about 50-50 really.
And like you said, everybody has freedom, so you guys all throw in ideas and to make Graveyard Kids what it is.
So I've been back on just songwriting.
I'm about to say, is it just you on the lyrics?
Most of the time, yeah. I write about 90% of the lyrics, but me and Micah, well, I mean, there was times like for the Punks Undead, I mean, we wrote a lot of that stuff together. And usually like if I get stuck on something, because I always have the melody first. I just get the vocal melody, and then I basically just drag and drop the lyrics to fit the melody. And so if I get stumped, I'll be like, oh, okay, what do you think we should do here? Or like, who's got an idea? And Micah's really good about like helping figure out like a topic to sing about, or because we wrote Dropout together, and that just song just kind of came out of, we just were like, let's write a new song today and let's just make like a goofy MXPX pop punk song. And then he actually came up with the lyrics of the hook, the high school football hero, big dreams. Like he was like, that's cool. He's like, that's catchy. Like somebody, like people are gonna like that.
It's relatable.
Yeah, and when he says something's like, he's kind of like my punk rock spiritual advisor, is what I call him, my right hand man. So like I'll overthink shit and I'll be like way in my own head. And I'll be like, oh, this is lame or this sucks, or and he was like, no, that's good. He's like, no, that's cool. If he said something's cool, then I'm like, all right, that's cool. Or if I'll like, hey, what do you think of this? And he's kind of like, could be better. But I'm like, all right, I can scrap that idea. So we wrote a lot of lyrics together, like on Lawbreaker. Uh, I wrote. He wanted to call the song that, and then so we just started playing the chorus, and I just kind of like, cause I'm a lawbreaker and I'm doing time, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. And then I was like, I'm doing time, stuck in the jailhouse of your mind, and I was like, that's fucking cool. And I was like, well, what's the second half? I was like, well, you're a lawmaker, so you'll be okay. You never cared anyway. It just fucking just started rolling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It just started coming together, and so we wrote that song about maybe some of Micah's past events that maybe may or may not allegedly have happened or have not happened. But so we take inspiration from just like random things in our own lives and stuff, but then don't really say like, oh, I this happened to me on this date, and
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know don't go down this street at this time, or anything like that. But
So as of current, where's Graveyard Kids sitting?
what do you mean?
Like,
Like, what do you mean? Like
what's in the future for Graveyard
right
Kids?
now, so rewind. We dropped the two singles in 2022. We played a bunch of
Okay.
shows in 2022. That was one of our first year as a band. 2023 rolls around. We dropped the EP in September. Last September, we played a bunch of good shows, had a bunch of fun. Uh, we
Where
played
do you
national.
play at?
You mean like just like gigs? I mean, we play
In
like
yeah, local. Where is there to
Cobra,
play locally? Cobra.
Cobra. We play Cobra. Um, we played East Side Bowl. We played the National Punk Rock Flea Market this year or
Oh,
last year
nice.
in the winter. That was fun. Uh, we played Dark Matter a couple weeks ago,
Oh, fuck yeah.
which was a lot of fun. And we played
Would
Graveyard
you?
Gallery back in Murfreesboro back in March, and that was really fun. But I think that I don't think they're doing shows anymore. It sucks.
No, I just
It,
saw that recently.
that place is
Now,
awesome.
now that's that place next to the tattoo parlor, correct?
And I think there's a record shop, a
Yeah.
tattoo parlor, and like I think like one of those like sketchy smoke shops, like CBD place. One of those weird places. Yeah, it's like all over there.
um, Dark Matter, I've never been, but would you say Dark Matter would be like the new spot for shows? Is that like the new
I
place?
think anywhere is a good place for shows if people come out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
I'm saying
dark
like
Dark
is
Matter is
it
cool because it is all ages.
yeah, and
It,
it's more independent, right?
it is
Like
very independent, and it's a cool vibe, and the people that run it are really great. But that was the first time that I had played there since. I mean, I played when it was like an art collective house. Heavy Sleepers did play Dark Matter like years and years ago, but it was like a house like somewhere in like North or East Nashville. I can't remember. And it was just like this rundown. They called it an art collective, and we played there once, and that was fun. You just play in a corner of a dingy living room. But now it's an actual venue. They got a really good sound and lights and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. We're playing Vinyl Lounge in a couple weeks for the Punk Rock Pig Roast #5. That's gonna be awesome. Can't wait for that.
who puts that on?
Punks Cares too. Our buddy Martin, who runs the Peterson compound out of Memphis.
Okay.
He's a show promoter and he puts on local and touring acts and stuff like that. He's a really good guy. He saw us at the flea market, the punk rock flea market last December, and he came up to me after the show and he was like, "Hey, I really liked your set, man. That was really cool." And I was like, "Thank you." You know, we talked for a few minutes. He was like, he's if you make it down to Memphis, we'll get you a show down there. And he goes, "If I got something going in Nashville, I'm going to hit you up." And he came through on that. He hit me up a couple months ago, said he's putting together a gig and wanted to know if we wanted to play. I said, just send us the date and time and we'll work it out. And yeah, so we're playing with a bunch of really good bands, playing Rough Dreams, Second Self, Drew the Drifter, Wesley and the Boys. Like it's a huge roster, and there's gonna be like a DJ. There's gonna be a lot of food. I mean, so it's gonna be like an all day, all ages type deal at the Vinyl Lounge. It's gonna be freaking awesome.
And
Freaking
that's
awesome.
July 13th. It's a Saturday, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Talking about that, Second Self, man. I've over the years I've been seeing that name a lot. Like
Oh yeah.
those dudes are putting in some work. Like
Oh, for
they're
sure.
they're they're in California one time, then they're in Florida, and they're everywhere, man.
Oh, they're
They
great.
and
Yeah. I've known Nate for a long time. Nate's an incredible musician, great guitar
yeah,
player. Toby
one
Toll, who plays bass in that band, me and him go back because he played in Heavy Sleepers for a bit.
okay.
He hooked me up with the job one time. Same warehouse I'm at today. And I mean, I came through for him in a couple different projects when he needed a guitar player. So I got mad respect for them.
Yeah, they seem like really cool guys. I don't know which one I talked to. Is there an Adam in the band?
I don't think he's in the band anymore. He moved,
Okay,
but
okay,
I don't know. As
that
far as I
makes
know,
sense. That makes
I
sense because
think
he's
he
always out
moved.
like yeah, Tahoe or something or somewhere up
I
there.
don't
Or
know. He
Cal.
just he cut
Yeah,
town one day and he was
yeah,
just like, "Hey, peace out." And I said, "Hey, man,
yeah.
vaya
They
con Dios."
I really enjoyed what I heard from Second Self. I
Oh, they're
know
great.
the one time you guys played here in Clarksville, they played with you, and then
Yeah,
they've
that
played
was
here
our
since
first show.
then.
That was the first Graveyard Kids show, and they were nice enough to put us on that night. So yeah,
Yeah,
so matter of
I wasn't
respect.
even in town, so
Yeah,
and then
I kept blowing you up. I was like, "Come to
I
the
wasn't
show,
even in town.
man."
But the fucked up thing is the show that I was going to go to. You're like, no, we messaged them and we're not even on this show. We're not playing. I'm like, well, fuck, because my
Oh,
buddies,
that's right. Yeah, we
it
something happened. We were supposed to play some show. They asked
it
us
was
if
with
we were going to play, and then I messaged them back like I kind of dropped the ball on it because I have to manage the band on top of everything else. And I texted them back like a little too late. I was like, "Hey, sorry, like we got problems. Like someone can't make the show. Like someone can't play it. We're not gonna be able to play." It was like it was family. It was around Halloween time, and I think somebody
yeah
had
yeah yeah.
family engagements or something. Which so we just couldn't end up playing, and they just kept us on the flyer.
Well,
Like, y'all are gonna like take us like, okay, I appreciate you putting our name out there, but like we're not gonna be there. And people were like messaging like, when do you guys go on? I'm like, we're
we're not
not
even
fucking
there.
playing. I wish we could have, but we just didn't end up.
My buddy's band Fuzz Ripper played. They're incredible.
They
They
are
are
good.
fucking great.
They are
I've
awesome.
known that kid, the singer. I've known him since probably as long as I've known you, if not a little bit longer.
Awesome.
But he was in a band. He had a band back in the day, probably in like '07, maybe '08, called My Friend the Ghost. And
That sounds familiar.
they were
I do
fucking
remember that.
they were a great band. I think they could have did something. But everything, sometimes you gotta switch up every once in a while. But no, yeah, so I've yet to see you guys. I'm working on this 13th show. I got somebody I've talked to, so hopefully it works out. He's my show dog who I go see shows with. So
That's what's
we'll
up.
see if it works out. So with that being said, what's going on on the 12th with Graveyard Kids? Is there like a
Well,
new
it's
single or
yeah. So the plan at the moment, because I'm still waiting on artwork, and we're still getting the final mix ready. But
gotcha?
the plan is to drop "That's Okay," our next single, on the 12th.
Okay.
So Friday, July 12th, dropping the new song, and then we're playing the Vinyl Lounge at the Punk Rock, uh, you know,
Barbecue or
pig
whatever.
roast. It's a
Pig
Punk
roast, yeah.
Rock pig roast. I kind of got tongue tied. So that's the plan. Yeah. So we're gonna drop that stuff. Yeah, a new song. It's one of my favorite songs that I've ever done in my entire life.
Okay.
It truly brings me back to why I started playing punk rock, why I started playing the guitar. There's nothing crazy. I mean, there's no like crazy guitar solos. It's just straight in your face. It's the shortest Graveyard Kid song to date at two and a
Okay.
half minutes, but it packs so much into such a short amount of time that I feel like it's one of the best. It's one of our best well-written songs, and it's one of the simpler ones that we've done.
You
And
know,
we, go ahead, yeah,
now I was say some of those songs that are short, they feel like they're long, and then you look at it and it's like that was only a minute and 45 seconds, but it felt
right.
so much long because there's so much in it,
Well, I'm at a point now where in my songwriting, what I'm doing in songwriting now is I'm trying to keep everything under 3.5 minutes or around 3 minutes, under 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just I mean, we have a few songs that are about 4 minutes long, and they're great, but just from what I'm trying to do is challenge myself and put basically a few limits around my songwriting and saying,
Okay.
so if it's getting closer to the 4 minutes, you got to cut something. If something's got to be shorter, something's going too long. And not everything has to be that way, but
No,
I'm
but
just that's guardrails that I'm putting on myself necessarily, not everybody else or not everybody in the band, but just myself. Because it's not a Graveyard Kid song until we rehearse it and do it as a band.
yeah.
They're just songs at that point, but up until then. But this next song, That's Okay, it's got some of my favorite lyrics, and it's just one of my favorite songs that I've ever worked on in my entire life.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm really excited about it, man.
Hell yeah, man. Um,
We've been playing it too. So it's not, I mean, so if you've seen us before, you've heard
you've
the
heard it.
song. But it's just, I mean, it's always so great to hear it back recorded, and I've been having to listen to, mixes and, listen to it at work, and it's like, I'm just
Do
really excited.
I mean, yeah, at that point, that's why, you listen to it and listen to it and listen to it. But do you listen to it so much you're like, fuck, you like we could change this, but or I could change this, but I'm just gonna leave it alone because I don't want to keep changing it because then it might just ruin the song.
Sometimes, yeah, that happens a
Yeah.
lot. And also, well, one of the things that I decided for myself in Graveyard Kid, one thing I told myself is that it's okay to just like kind of let things be, like not to like take too much time, like especially when we were recording, because we did everything just straight, like we didn't do it to a click. There's like no auto tune. There's very much of that. So I mean, they're produced songs, but I mean, there is auto tune, but it's so minuscule that it's not even like noticeable. You know what I mean?
Well,
And it kind of makes me feel like you know just let it kind of be the way it is, and don't beat too hard around it. Just get the song done and kind of let it be that way, because you can always look back and say, oh, I wish I'd done this, I wish I could have
oh
done that.
yeah.
It's just always going to happen, and sometimes it's better just to accept it the way it is and just say, okay, like this is how the song is, and that's the way it's going to be. And if you want to change something, just do it different next time.
Yeah, because if you keep nitpicking and changing things and you're never gonna get the song done. And by the time you finally get done with it, you're gonna like, that's not what I was expecting. So
Exactly. Well,
you know,
the solo stuff was more like that. It was
yeah.
way more like that because I had the time to change things, and I didn't have someone tell me I couldn't, unless Charlton didn't like something, or unless something just wasn't working. But with the Graveyard Kid stuff, I mean, it's so just it's more stripped down. Like it's just straight up just pop punky punk rock. So it's not rocket science, So it's really relieving for me because it's been easier.
Yeah.
So being at the top of my game at songwriting, having 20 plus years of guitar playing skills underneath my belt, and playing with the best guys I've ever played with, the most talented people I've ever played with, it's just gelling so easily, and everyone's just having so much fun that there's not a lot that I feel like things got to change. And sometimes butt heads a little bit here and there,
Yeah.
but it's nothing to where like eventually we'll at least see where each other's coming from. You're like, all right, well, let's just do it that way, or let's do it
Well,
this way.
I will say this as far as the Nashville music scene goes, there's only three guys that I always think of, and it kind of goes in like to me, it kind of goes in like eras. There's three guys I always think of when I think of Nashville locals or Nashville scene. It's Barry from Look What
Yeah.
I Did,
Oh yeah.
Erica Roscoe, and you.
Oh, thank you very much, man. That's very nice to hear.
Well, because I mean, you've been going for so long. You're still going. You're still going at it. You're still active. Barry's been going at it for so many years. He's
Oh,
still active.
they are incredible. No, look what I did. They're better than they've ever been. They are absolutely
Did
incredible.
Did you ever get to see the project that him, the singer from 12 Volt Negative Earth, members of Sub Method, and then when they did that Faith No More cover band?
I probably heard about it, but no, I never saw it.
They only did three shows, and we were lucky enough to get one of them in Clarksville at the warehouse.
It's
And I'm gonna
awesome.
tell you right now, it was fucking. You thought if you were blind, you would thought you're watching Faith No More. It was that
I
fucking
mean,
solid.
Barry fucks with some very talented musicians, man, and so I wouldn't expect anything less.
Actually,
Funny
go
story.
ahead.
What Heavy Sleepers, our one of our storage units was actually across from Look What I Did, or
Oh, really?
they were in the building adjacent to us, but we would see them all the time, and they would get annoyed by how insane we were.
Wait,
Because we were really crazy in that storage unit. We did a lot more partying than playing music, and it was like that we trashed that place from top to bottom all the time. Like they hated us there. Like everybody
yeah.
hated us there. So they were glad to see us go. They were glad to
I will
see us
say this
go.
though, man, they've been going at it since I got to book them. I booked them a few different times in Clarksville and stuff. But Barry's the same way. He always surrounds himself by some of the like you said, some of the talent. We just said that, but he always has some of the most talented people in that band.
Yeah.
You know, it's like his bass player. Hello, Evan fucking Brewer. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
He's like,
that's probably a good reason as to why they've been around so long. It's just like, they know what they're doing, and people that creative just like there's no way that they cannot play the music that they're doing. There's no way that they wouldn't be doing that.
the stage presence insane itself. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
put some
Oh
characters
yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
one thing about him is he can control a crowd. He controls a crowd. You know what I'm
Very much
saying?
so. Very much
I
so.
and when the first time I ever saw him, it was before Look What I Did was even a thing. He was in a band called Point of You, and that was like the late '90s, early 2000s, and they were really good. It was them and Sub Method were two of the bigger bands around that local bands at that time, and
I
I
remember
would
some
see
method.
yeah, I think
I remember
everybody
them.
remembers that band back in the day. There was two guys that you would see at every show at when you would leave, no matter if it was at Starwood, no matter if it was downtown, it was ever you would see Barry and you would see Nathan from Sub Method just passing out flyers for their shows every fucking day at every show.
That's
They
what
were
I
the
mean. That's
kings,
what it takes.
you know. Unfortunately, we don't see those kind of things these days, but
Well,
um,
it's a lot easier just to post on Instagram,
yeah, for
and
sure.
it's better for the environment.
um,
And you gotta be honest, man. Like you can hand out 200 flyers. 199 of them are all gonna go in the
Oh
trash.
yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
you take even when I mean I get it. I was in a band. I did the same thing too, passing out flyers. But at the end of the day, they go in your pocket, and then when you get home or they're on the floor of the venue you're at, or they go in the trash. You know. But
Yeah, I don't think
I
that's
mean,
happens. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't happen as much today, but
mm-mm.
maybe it'll come back. But it's funny. I feel a little unprepared because, dude, I have a folder in my closet that's nothing but flyers from back in the
Hell
day.
yeah.
And if I had like actually thought about it, I could have been like, showing them off because I've got
Mhm.
so many guerrilla warfare flyers, dude.
You
Like
know,
so many of them.
out of all the shows that I've booked, out of all the shows that I've played, out of all the shows that I've been to, I ain't got shit. And
Yeah.
I used to have for every show that me and Mark had booked, or every show that I had booked or played for Taken Under or played with Guerrilla Warfare, I had them on my computer on a hard drive. Somewhere down the road, not even, and if I say down the road, this was like 3 years ago. I guess I had deleted a folder by mistake, and all that shit was in that
Damn.
folder.
Yeah, dude. I had a laptop that got like knocked over like somehow and ended up just completely just fucking this entire laptop, and it had so many photos of like my cat, videos from band practice, like
Yeah, yeah,
so many
yeah.
things that I'm not going to get back. And fortunately, though, I can say that a lot of the flyers that I did save a lot of them, and I think my mom saved a lot of them too.
Hell yeah.
And when I moved back into this place, she brought over some stuff, and she brought me a bunch of like family photos and things like that that she had to get rid of, but she thought I might want. And she was like, "Hey, I found this," and it was just a binder, like a high school binder, one of my high school binders, nothing but flyers, just old
Well,
school flyers. So I have them. I post them occasionally on Instagram. I try and do it on a throwback Thursday. I don't know if anyone cares about that, but
is that a thing still? No. I
no,
will tell you
I'm
this.
gonna keep it alive, but no, but I've got so many that I should just start doing it, but it's just finding the time and the
Here,
just the
I will say this. I know for a fact on my computer, I do have a Murdock flyer from Clarksville. Um,
dope.
and I can't remember who you played with here, but I had the flyer, and I do have a um a someday flyer. I have those two, and if I find when I find them, I will send them your way. I mean, you may already
I would
have
appreciate.
them, but
Well, I like to see the ones that other people have if they have any.
yeah.
Because I do
Uh,
I do have a lot, but it's like the ones that I really wish I had, I don't have. And then the ones that I have, like I barely even remember going to them, if that makes any sense.
trust me, I know. There's a
At the
taking under
fog of
plates,
war.
yeah, called alcohol. But
Yeah.
so check this out. Taking under, obviously, we played a lot of sick ass shows just because one, taking under, I mean, me and Mark, Code of Honor, we booked shows. There wasn't a lot of bands that booked, so we would always ask. And then when we wanted,
Mhm.
Taking Under would play or Guerrilla Warfare would play. But Taking Under played with Terror and Ringworm in Cincinnati or outside of Cincinnati. And I never saw the flyer for this show, nor do I know what it ever looked like, nor do I have it. And that's probably to this day will always be my favorite show because I got to play with fucking Terror. You
That's
know what I'm
amazing,
saying?
man.
Like,
That's
but I
amazing.
don't. I wish I could have these. I don't have any of these fucking flyers. It's sad. But so let me ask you this question:
Okay.
What you said you heard these bands and then, you're like you the Plasters were the band that you're like I want to do this.
Yeah.
Besides, and that was a local band. That's awesome. Was there a mainstream band? I'm just saying that name mainstream just but the band the masses had that you looked up to and you're like that's the band I want to do this with like them like was
Oh,
there
for
some
sure. I mean, definitely like Green Day and Blink. I mean, those
yeah
those two are just you can't. I mean, I mean, how can I say anything other than that? Like the thing is they play the guitar in a way where there's anyone I could do that. Like I can play that. And I think that's like a big draw to punk music. It's not necessarily about how great you are. It's just the fact that anyone can do it and
oh yeah
inspire you. So
and
those guys definitely, but then bands like Rancid, of course, Op Ivy,
mhm.
uh, of course, Alkaline Trio, MXPX are a big one. People like to ask me like, if I could describe Graveyard Kids sound like with like big bands, like what would I say? And it took me a really long time to kind of figure it out because because I'm always trying to just do my own sound. I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
trying
you
to
never
sound
want to
like
sound
I'm just trying to sound like myself, or as close to that as possible and have a unique sound. But it would be like a mix between like MXPX, Alkaline Trio with like some Rise Against thrown in there.
I always tell you this. What I always say, your vocals remind me of MXPX
Because
always,
very, very, very low, like flat all the time.
but it's not a bad thing, And I honestly think MXPX, this last album they just put out, is probably in my eyes their best record to date because it's a fucking made. I'm gonna tell you, I wore that album out the first month it came out, and it's it would probably be my number one album of the year, just
Really,
as many
I
times I've
haven't
listened
heard
to
it.
it.
To be
Oh,
honest, man, like because they've put out like a bunch of albums in the last like 10 years, but I just go back to like the early one, like the ones that I really love, like the Buffalo
oh yeah.
album and like Life in General and the Renaissance EP was for some reason one of my favorites and like just stuff like that. But I've always enjoyed their songwriting style, and I think mine's very similar to their
And
songwriting style.
the same three fucking dudes.
Same
I
three
mean, they have
people. Yeah,
they have a touring guitar play. They're kind of like Green Day. They have that extra member, but when they're doing the band photo, it's just them three. But
sure, for sure. I think they've
they're
had
new.
I think they've had other people fill in on drums too when like I guess the drummer couldn't do it for a while, but yeah, but he's always going to be the drummer of that band, which is
Oh
cool.
yeah, they do their thing. Um, and like I said, I get to go see them in a couple weeks with No Effects,
Oh,
Lagwagon,
sick.
um, Define or Co-Defendants, which is Mike uh Fat Mike's other band, Suicidal Tendencies,
That sounds
Blacklist
like fun.
Royals.
Holy
Oh yeah,
cow.
it's a 2 day fest. No Effects headlines both nights, and between both sets, they do 69 songs.
I have to figure out how I'm gonna see them before they break up. And yeah, I mean, because I haven't even, I don't like
Have
even, yeah, I'm at the point in my life where I've pretty much seen every band that I've ever wanted to. And it's weird to say that because like there's always tours and stuff. I'm like, oh, that would be so much fun. But like I just don't have the time or the money to dedicate because I'm just putting so much into my own thing that
so
it's
have
really
you
hard
seen
to.
No Effects?
Oh yeah, I've seen them like 10
Okay.
times. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're one of my. I saw them in '97 at 328 before when 328
Sick.
was cool, and then
Yeah.
I've seen them at Warp Tours and I've seen them on their thing. But yeah, I don't people you either like No Effects or you don't like No Effects. That's
I
it.
do. I've always loved No Effects, for sure. I mean, some of their albums are better than others,
Oh yeah.
but
What's your favorite album?
So Long, Thanks for All the Shoes, by far. That's my favorite one
Yeah,
from start to
that
finish.
is a good one. Mine because it's the one album that I first got into, which was Ribbed. So that right there, Ribbed is like my fucking favorite No Effects album. But anything from Ribbed to So Long, all those albums are fucking great, you know. But
Like the Pump of the Volume is probably like a close second, and
War on Aerism is pretty good.
Warren Arizon's great. But pretty much after the Cokie the Clown EP, I kind of like didn't I kind of and a lot of people talk bad about a bunch of their last albums, but they're all great. But there's some I like more than others.
Well,
But but
The Cokie EP, I honestly just think that was Mike because he put out a Cokie full length. So I think that was just like a warm up to that album.
probably who knows?
But yeah, you're right. I mean, but that you think about how many fucking songs that band has.
I mean, like literally probably thousands. Yeah. Somebody
But
asked me once, like, how many songs do you think I've written my entire life? And I don't even know. Like,
yeah.
because I've written so many stupid ones that I forgot literally after doing it. And then, like, but then if I think about all the ones that I've actually put out, it's really not that many,
Yeah.
if you think about it, but probably somewhere in the hundreds, I would say. But it doesn't feel like that. So, like, compared to a band like that, it's like, whoa, I need to, like, get to work.
Or a band like Iron Maiden,
Oh
you know.
yeah, and they actually
And
can
like
play their instruments really well.
and
So
not to mention how many songs they've put out, but how long their fucking songs are. It's just
yeah,
like
yeah, that
Jesus
would definitely
Christ.
break my 4 minute rule for sure. But
Yeah.
whatever.
But no, like those bands, it's like they have such a huge catalog, It's like and then you gotta for over a 40-year career, like them, Metallica, Slayer, like those bands, like you got such a huge catalog. Like, all right, what are we gonna play tonight? You got because you don't want to make the fans upset because you're not playing everything. You can't make everybody happy.
Oh, of course not. But and really, it's about like what makes you happy as a
Oh
musician. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I mean, if you're getting paid for your gig, then it and you have a big crowd, then at some point it is kind of like delivering for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're someone like myself who's just like, I just want to play, the best songs that I can come up with,
Yeah.
then you're like, you're gonna be more selfish about it and just be like, I'm gonna play what
And
you
honestly,
play what we want.
if I go see a band live, I'm like, I don't give a fuck if they don't play what I don't what I you know if they don't play a song I want to hear. I'm still getting to watch them live.
It is a
The
bummer
only,
when when there's you go see a band that you like and there's like your favorite song. Like there's one song that you're, man, I really hope they play this one song and they don't play it. You're like,
yeah.
you feel a little gypped, a little cheated, but
I already cheated on the No Effects Punk and Drublic show because the Punk and Drublic sets are different than their other sets they're doing for festivals, like big festival, because their fest is different. Night so Saturday night, obviously is one set. Sunday night's another set. Not no repeat songs. So I had to look up my songs and they're playing everything I want to hear, so I'm good.
that's what's up.
Um,
I
what
hope
was
you
the
have
first?
fun, man.
Oh fuck yeah! It's oh yeah, it's in Denver by the way too, so I got to go to
Sick.
Denver. So
Hell
what
yeah.
was the first? What was one of the first? What was the first concert you ever went to?
Like talking about a big concert or like a local show, like because
We'll do both.
as far as local goes, it was Plaster.
Okay.
I was like in the fourth grade, and they played the Franklin Theater,
Yep.
like in downtown Franklin. It's like the movie theater.
Yeah, I saw Chase and Amy there. Kevin
Really?
Smith. Yeah, that was back in the '90s, and I thought it was the coolest movie theater because they served beer there, and I didn't know that until we got there.
Yeah. I mean, they only have like two
Yep.
screens or something like that.
Yeah.
But I haven't been there for I
I
haven't
know
been there for years.
Chad Gilbert from Newfound Glory does or he helps with that movie gang
So
where
I've heard.
once a month they do old movies. Like I think they did Goonies just recently, and
Yeah, it was
so
really weird when they moved to Franklin. I'm like, really? You're gonna move to my hometown? Really? Can you like not do that? It's like this place is like, it's lame enough already. Can you like
actually
not move here?
I think it's just him. I think everybody else is in Florida still, but I know his grandma is from like Louisville or something. So,
Word up.
but
Well, God bless them.
so what was your first big show?
Let me think. Uh, if I remember correctly, because I'm sure I'm gonna get this wrong, because I really honestly can't remember exactly. But I want to say it might have actually been Warp Tour in 2002.
Okay.
That might have been the first time I was old enough to go to like a actual concert, like somewhat by myself with some friends. Like,
Did do you remember who played it?
yeah. So it was 2002. It was the first time I saw the Casualties, Bouncing Souls,
Hmm.
Rancid played, AFI played,
Yep, I remember
311
that year.
played, Good Charlotte played. Cool Keith was on that show.
Hell yeah.
Cool
Was
Keith
that the I believe that was also the same one that like D12 was supposed to be on it, but they
might
got
have been
kicked
that.
off.
Might have
Yeah,
been that. I don't know. I think I just remember. I thought they played the Doctor Octagon
that
half
would have been cool.
shark half alligator man song. I thought that was the goofy. I thought that was like the funniest rap song I've ever heard in my life.
Well, did
Some
Aiden
oh
play?
I don't remember. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember seeing Less Than Jake.
Okay, that's the same show. So let me remind you that this is funny because Bouncing Souls when they started their set, they're like, "What's up? We're less than Jake," but they weren't, and people were like, "Ooh," and I'm like, "That's not less than Jake," but they did it as a joke, and they did that
Really?
apparently at every date. They were like, they never said they were Bouncing Souls. They always said we're less than Jake.
That's
But
that's funny, I guess. That was the first of many times I saw Bouncing Souls.
yeah,
And that was the first time I'd ever been in an actual mosh pit, and it was during Rancid, and I got completely annihilated. And somebody just out of nowhere just picked me up because I'm a little dude. Somebody picked me up and threw me over the crowd, and I started crowd surfing, and they threw me into the mosh, like into the circle pit. So I like fell and
okay.
got completely just trampled to nearly to death. And it was one of the greatest moments of my life.
I miss the Warp Tour.
Yeah,
I
Warped
missed
Tour
Warped Tour.
it's fun, but it had its time, like not everything can, sometimes things like that, like it was starting to get stale, it was starting to get
Yeah, oh
old.
yeah.
It's a lot of the bands started sounding exactly the same. And
They went they went more like the Hot Topic era style of bands, you know.
which, I mean, if you're making money and things sell, then why
Oh
wouldn't
yeah,
you?
yeah. That I mean that's what was popular.
It
I did
takes
hear though that they are supposedly maybe coming back. So
yeah, I've been hearing that for a while too. I mean, I hope that it does. And maybe it'll be a little bit smaller, or maybe they'll have a little less bands, and maybe it'll be a little more focus on like, I would like for them to bring back the like extreme sports, because like when I went in 2002, like they had the huge vert ramp,
yep.
and people were like BMXing, and it was really, that was just as much a part of it than the music was.
Yeah, I went
That
to
was
one of them with the motocross.
that yeah, I mean, that was also the time where like X Games was huge and
Yeah, yeah.
skateboarding was like at its peak, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater changed everybody's life. So like I would like to see something like that come back and have them like, focus on like young skaters, like young skateboarders that are like, cuz like skateboarding now, like I don't really follow it as much as like I used to, cuz I've never been very good at skateboarding. I was better
Yeah.
at music. I could skate, but I enjoyed music more, and I don't want to like break my hands or anything.
I
Uh, so I would actually like to see them put on like younger, younger kids that are like badass at skating, or
yeah.
if they could bring back some BMXing or something like that. I would like to see that incorporated as much as the music, because I think it was just more of a I don't know if it was like a community thing, but it was just the vibe was just so different, because it wasn't all about just seeing some bands play. It was like watching people do insane tricks was like a lot of fun. I don't know.
I I saw recently with skateboarding this it just happened like a week or two ago. It's like fucking 7 or 8 year old kid that did 3 900s back to back.
Yeah, like that
Three.
would be sick, dude. Let's see that.
I'm like three fucking
Bring
nine
that
hundreds.
back.
Golly.
That
Um
would be gnarly, man.
uh
I can barely like even ollie these days. I'm just
yeah, I
giving.
haven't
I gave
tried it.
up. I gave up on it a long time ago.
What's your favorite Nashville spot? What's your go-to spot in Nashville for
What do you
food?
mean, like for to eat?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to give away my secret spot, but there's a Mexican restaurant right around the corner from where I live, and we just dominate that place. We show up there,
Yeah.
and they like know what's up when we walk in there. They get the quesos ready to go. We get top
Yeah.
shelf margaritas. I mean, the food is so good, and I love Mexican food so much. So there's a dope ass Mexican spot right around the corner from that we go and troll all the time. It's a lot of fun. That's kind of like, like anytime we're like after a show, if it's open, or like we went there after I celebrated my birthday there, and we partied that night, and after the music video, we all mobbed the place and just like
Oh
kind of
yeah.
celebrated, having shooting the music video there. Anytime I have people in town, I'm like, let's go get some tacos. And so that would be my spot. This
Yeah.
little just hole in the wall Mexican joint just right around the corner. It's the
I
best.
think we all have our Mexican restaurant spot, in every
Everyone's got
city,
to have it. You got to
Yeah.
have it.
Um, we used to have this place here in Clarksville, which was fucking fire, fire. Like I would go there 3 4 times a week, even by myself, And COVID, eventually COVID happened, and they didn't last, and they had to
Oh, it
shut their
sucks.
doors.
This
But another
place,
Mexican
dude,
spot,
this place did not give a fuck. It was
yeah,
like straight up like doors open, everyone's welcome. Like, so they had masks and they wore masks and stuff like that during that time. But I mean, it was like, dude, I knew I could just go there and post up. I walked into Twin Kegs right at the very beginning of COVID, and it was like it looked. You remember on Dexter? You ever watch Dexter when he
uh-huh,
would
yeah,
put the
yeah.
sheets on everything? He'd have the
Oh yeah,
plastic,
yep.
and then like it looks like that. I walk in, there's plastic all over
Oh
everything.
hell.
The people are behind. There's like a plastic sheet. I go, fuck this, dude. I'm out of here. I went across the street to the Mexican restaurant. They're like, hey, come on in, man. It's like, So
Um,
that was fun for sure. But yeah, everyone's got to have your local Mexican spot. I mean,
oh
it's
yeah.
just you just
Um,
got to, man.
what's currently in your music rotation?
Right now I listen to a lot of weird 80s music these days, man.
That's my
I
go-to.
love Billy Idol. I just get in this. I love like old 80s Billy Idol stuff.
Yeah.
Uh
He still got it. I saw him perform
he's
a
killer,
couple
dude.
weeks ago on TV and or
He's
not on
killer.
TV on he could still sing.
Oh, he's great. Oh, absolutely, man. So I listen to a lot of Billy Idol. Let's see. Now you put me on the spot. I can't really remember. I could just pull it up right now. But definitely I listen to a lot of weird 80s music stuff. Like I went on this like insane Depeche Mode kick for
Okay.
like, and I just listened to like, just shuffle. Like, so I couldn't even really tell you that much, but just I don't know. I was in a weird headspace. I was listening to a lot of Depeche Mode, and I really like Aldo Nova.
Oh yeah, Aldenova, yeah.
Aldo Nova is the jam, dude. I got this
Yeah,
one
yeah.
album called Twitch. That's great. Um, and I listen to a lot of like Phil Collins and Genesis.
Hell yeah, hell
A
yeah.
lot of stuff
Genesis,
that,
God.
well,
But
specifically like their mid 80s stuff.
yeah,
Because like the stuff with what's his name before was it was pretty cool. Peter Gabriel.
yeah.
That stuff is cool too, but I mean I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but just one day I just decided that I was just going to listen to nothing but Phil Collins and Genesis.
Okay.
And there was this solid 6 months where like I listened to Invisible Touch on repeat.
I was about to
And
say that's a great record.
bro, that album is like when you listen to that album, there isn't a single second in that album that isn't like masterfully crafted. Like everything about it, from just the time signatures to the instruments to the melodies, there isn't a single part on that whole album where something is like off. It's in my opinion, it's a perfect album.
Okay.
It's just one of those things where it captured such a specific time that I never got to experience in life. So it's kind of like going into a time machine in a weird way and listening to music from, 3 4 generations back. And it's people still feel like the 80s is pretty recently, but it's not. It's
Trust me, I lived that era and I
scary.
still think it was like yesterday, you know?
It's scary, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I listened to a lot of like Phil Collins like solo album, like No Jacket Required.
Yep, that's a
That
good one.
that that's just puts me in a good mood. Um, so I get a lot of 80s stuff in rotation, and a lot of people make fun of me for this, but I'm a massive Angels and Airwaves fan.
I
I
mean,
listen I listen to them all the time.
do you like
I
everything
know
they put out?
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
My favorite ones is definitely their first album because that was like a time where like that was when we were doing the house shows.
yeah.
Reminds me of that. And I really like the first Love album. That's got like the first half of the album's got some bangers on it. And the last one they put out was really sick too.
Um,
Life Forms was really good.
you were saying like 80s stuff. I could actually pick I was gonna mention this anyway. I can see you doing a band, like a new wave band, kind of like Depeche Mode or like the Cars.
I've always wanted to. I've
Like,
always wanted. So that was kind of the direction I wanted to take the solo stuff
mm,
because I didn't really want to do like the live band sound. I wanted to kind of go in more of like a not like synth wave, but really heavy on like electronic drums and dirty bass, like groovy bass, and have like a
yeah,
lot of arpeggios and focus less on like heavy guitar stuff. Still have like grungy guitars and stuff in the background, but the Halloween song that I did was the closest thing that I did with that because it had a lot of keys and it had a
yeah,
lot of synth stuff, and I wanted to go more in that direction. And one day I will do a project like that, but it would just be for fun. It would just to be creative and to do something totally so out of left field that
yeah,
that it. I think a lot of people would enjoy. I think people would really dig it.
yeah.
If the songs were good, if the songs were there, then it would be
I mean,
cool.
I'm in. I mean, I'm in. I'm in. I got a huge musical taste, but
Of course.
no one ever knew this about me until later down the road. But I'm a huge fucking hair nerd, dude. I love hair metal. I love
I kind
fucking
of
hair
knew
metal.
that. I knew that because I'd seen you post some of your tapes and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean, like probably the last 5 years or so, people real like, oh, this guy like, but I'm huge in the fucking hair metal, dude. I love hair metal,
It's cool.
then then I love fucking. I'm a huge like. I love Depeche Mode. I love The Cure. I love like Joy Division. I
I
love
do
all
too. I
that
like that
shit.
stuff too.
But
I went on also like listened to like a couple months ago. I just went deep into New Order, and I
fuck
just
yeah,
listened to
dude.
just a New Order constantly. And people are like, "Hey, have you heard this new band from?" I was like, "No, I've been listening to nothing but weird '80s music." Like, just
But when people ask you about new music, to some people that is new music because you ain't never heard it before. There's always
yeah,
new music out there, man. It's
that's true, man.
like everyone's always like, man, I don't like I don't need. There's no new music coming out. There's always new music. You just got to
Oh, it's
look for it.
nonstop, nonstop. It's almost too much. It's almost like there's almost too much happening these days. Like, everything seems like it's just moving so fast. It's so hard to keep up. So I
Hmm.
honestly enjoy really going back in time and listening to things that I didn't get to experience growing up now in my life. But I still like, a lot of newer stuff.
Are
There's this
you
one. I'm sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
There's one band that is like a punk rock band that I do like that are new. I wouldn't say they're new because they've been around for a little while, but they're from the UK and they're called
Okay.
Weather State.
I never
They're
heard of them.
fucking badass. I'll send you their album.
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where I guess it was like targeted Instagram ad that somehow made it into my algorithm. And I was like, oh, these lads are quite well in it. And I started listening to their shit, and they kick a lot of ass. And so I listen to them when I feel like listening to more punk rock, pop punky stuff.
Are you into like classic rock, like a '70s stuff?
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm into it because I would probably feel like uh I mean, like, how many times do I have to hear like more than a feeling? You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
No.
man, it's like I've heard that so many times in my life. It's like I respect it, and you know me, I'm a musician. I'm gonna respect
Yeah.
even music that I don't like. I'm not
Oh,
gonna say
the
I'm
older
not
I
gonna
got, it was like that.
yeah, I'm not that guy who's gonna say, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
well,
used
I
to.
mean, I mean, I may not like it. It sucks to me, but it's obviously doing, it obviously has its place. And
I always say it's not for me, but I understand why people like it.
here's
I
a
get it.
here's an artist that you and I both really like that maybe a lot of people don't know. People know that you are into him, but we're both big Prince fans.
No, I never heard of the guy.
All
I
right,
am a
just
no, I am a huge Prince fan. Actually, on the other side of this laptop, I got my little Prince shrine. I got right back here on this little shelf. Behind me is all my cassettes and shit, but I got
that's
like
sick. I
a
can see most
huge
of them.
Prince collection. I got huge Prince vinyl. But Prince is a I don't understand. I couldn't see why somebody wouldn't like the guy.
I think it would probably be um subject matter because a lot of his music is pretty sensual, you
Yeah,
know, and maybe that's not everyone's cup of tea.
yeah.
And I mean, he was very controversial. I mean,
Oh fuck
I
yeah,
mean, didn't he have an album called Controversy?
yeah,
So I mean, he was always pushing the envelope and stuff. But I got a lot of respect for him because I always felt like he was an extremely underrated guitar player,
yeah. And
like
then and then
underrated because he's phenomenal guitarist and can play pretty much every instrument. But when you think of like, okay, rock gods like Jimi Hendrix or like Steve Vai or something like that, not many people are throwing like Prince's name out there.
oh no, you never hear that. The only person that really says Prince was like an influence and somebody that's a great guitar player is Gary Holt from fucking Exodus. He's a huge Prince nerd. He has his fucking
I could see that.
he has a purple rain spelled REIGN signature guitar, and it's purple and it has gold. Everything's gold on it except for the
That's
purple,
that's
and
amazing
it's yeah. But he was kind. I mean, Prince was kind of punk rock. He was punk rock too.
for sure.
He was punk, he was metal, he was everything. And a lot of people got to see that when he jumped up on during the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and they did My Guitar Gently Weeps, and he
Mhm.
just destroyed everybody on that stage.
Dude, oh yeah, man. Uh I got respect from the Batman soundtrack, of course. You know, that's what turned that's when I actually found out who he was, because I mean that
Oh
was one of
yeah.
my favorite movies growing up, and just the music in that movie is so phenomenal. But yeah, so like I'm definitely not as a big a fan as you, but I've got mad respect for the guy, and
Yeah,
I definitely enjoy a lot of his music.
I always say this too. I mean, I was lucky enough to see the man twice,
Yeah, I never got to
and
do
it
that.
was, and I don't care what anyone's, back then everyone's like, you can go see Prince. What? And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go fucking see Prince. I didn't care. And I saw him at Municipal and I saw him at Bridgestone. I saw him at
Sick, dude.
Municipal first, and then I saw him at Bridgestone the next tour for Musicology. And I don't care. Purple Rain played, and the hairs on my skin just stood up,
Yeah.
and it felt like it was raining in there, and it was not, and it was just insane. It was just great.
That's awesome,
Um,
man. I wish I could have seen that too. That would have been so incredible.
yeah. I had one more thing I was going to ask you, and then I was going to see if you want to ask me anything. Um, this is a cheesy question, but what's your favorite holiday movie?
Holiday movie? I don't know if
Yeah,
I have one. Uh, like which holiday?
exactly. I mean, you
Like
got Halloween, you got
I don't
Christmas, you
know.
got
I don't think I mean,
you're not a Nightmare
okay,
Before
all right. If
Christmas.
well, you put me on the spot here. So okay, so my favorite Christmas movie is Ernest Saves Christmas.
All right,
I
okay.
watched that. That's not anyone's favorite Christmas movie by any stretch, but I grew up watching that like on repeat, like back in the day. I had all the Ernest movies back in the day.
Have you
But
ever been to the camp up
yeah.
here
Oh
up
yeah.
here in
Oh, for sure.
Adams?
Yeah, yeah. No, I've been to it once, but I mean when I was a kid, I actually went to summer camp there once for like a
Never knew
week.
that existed until like 10 years ago.
Oh, it's been there. It's been there
Yeah,
forever.
yeah. Somebody just last week
My
somebody's like,
dad.
"Hey, if you took our earnest sign, can you please return it?" I was like, "Whoa."
Oh no. Yeah, my
Yeah.
dad always has to remind me about it every time.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool though, man.
What about you? What's your favorite holiday movie?
I mean, my favorite Christmas movie would be, and I get shit for this all the time. My favorite Christmas movie is Elf.
That's a classic though. The movie's
It's
hilarious.
crazy. I mean, but everyone's like, fucking fuck Will Ferrell and Elf. Well, I'm like, what do you like? And then they go back to the 80s. I'm like, that's cool. I like those too. But my is Elf,
I mean,
I
it's a funny movie.
yeah. I mean,
It's
but every
definitely not my favorite, but I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
good movie. He's funny.
And then my favorite Halloween movie is like Trick or Treat from the 80s with Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne in it.
Oh, I have never seen that.
It's about this guy who gets his record, and it's the last record of his favorite artist, and he puts it on, and this because the guy died, and his soul comes out of this record and gets embedded. Yeah, it's
Okay,
it's
I'm
a, it's
gonna
a
give
rock.
him a
It's
listen.
it's pretty metal. It's pretty rock and roll.
It's crazy.
I don't really know if it actually has to do with Halloween, but it's called Trick or Treat, so I watch it. And the band Fastway does the soundtrack, and the lead singer of Fastway is actually the lead singer of Flog and Molly now.
Weird.
Yeah. So there's a
Okay,
lot of
well,
there's a lot of 80s bands that like metal bands that have gone on and do punk bands, ska bands, or
mhm.
like who was it? The dude from Bad Religion. I can't remember which one it is, but he was in like some. Oh, he was in Junkyard. Some 80s. He was a Junkyard was an 80s metal, 80s hair metal. I don't think they're really hair metal, but they're 80s metal band. He was in Junkyard. Now he's in Bad Religion, and Bad
Sick.
Religion can go. You can open the door on Bad Religion members. So
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Are you gonna go see them when they play here?
fuck yeah,
They're
fuck
playing
yeah.
in like I think this October or
October,
something.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine had never seen him, and he's my age. He had never seen Bad Religion, and he just happened to go to Wyoming or Wisconsin, wherever Greg's from. And is it Greg or is it Brett? Who's the singer? Brett? Who's the singer of
I think
Brett?
Brett's the guitarist too,
Okay, so Greg.
or he's Greg. Greg, I believe, is the singer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
And
wherever he was from. He went up there a couple like last year, and Bad Religion was playing. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see Bad Religion," and then he's like, to find out that this is his hometown, and and it's the first time he ever got to see Bad Religion while he's in his hometown. So that's kind of cool. So
I saw them when they played Cannery a couple years back,
okay,
like 4 or 5 years ago, and they were
I,
incredible. I mean, they
I
sounded
don't
great.
think I've seen them since Warped Tour. So but they still throw it down, man. They
Yeah,
still
they're
sound
killing it.
so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. They don't look great, but they sounded amazing. They sounded really
uh,
good. So I mean, props to them, man. I mean, respect.
did you go to Descendants Circle
No,
Jerks?
I didn't. I didn't end up going. It was on probably on a school night, and I just I just
I
probably
got
bailed.
tick. It was what was it? It was like well, this was just like 3 months ago. I got they were sold out. I got tickets for $9, and I was like, yeah,
Cool.
I guess I'll go see fucking Circle Jerks and Descendants. And Descendants played every fucking song I wanted to hear, and I was happy with that. And then I was like, yeah, I need to go to some more shows because I don't go to enough shows. So
Let me ask you a question. Why aren't local bands opening for shows like that here in Nashville?
that's a good question, honestly, man. I'm just thinking that the packages don't let the locals on because I don't think I seen any local nothing against the bands, but I don't see I don't think I've seen any of this tour that have local bands open those tours anymore, which
No.
sucks. Hardcore shows you can get locals every
Hardcore
once in a
shows,
while.
it's half locals the whole time. There would
Yeah,
be three touring bands, and then there's six bands on the bill, and there's half are local.
yeah.
So
I don't know, man.
so shout
That
out,
kind of
so props to the hardcore scene for putting on local talent, but the punk scene's different. It's
I was about to
weird
ask you
because
about the punk scene.
it didn't used to be like that. Um, like I mean, like that. I mean, like I said, like Ill Patriot opened for the Misfits,
Hmm.
and and then and Heavy Sleepers opened for Teenage Bottle Rocket at
Nice.
Exit In. Both were
Ah,
sold out shows at Exit In.
Teenage Bottle Rocket's another one I'm seeing that on that fest.
Yes, and that was the last tour that their drummer Brandon was on.
Really?
And he watched us. He watched us play, and he came up to us after the show. He came up to me and said, "Hey, your drummer's really good." I said, "Thank you, I appreciate that." He's over there doing something. I don't know.
Did you play with Teenage Bottle Rockets with Blacklist Rose?
No, actually,
No.
no. It was after that. It was after it was yeah, it was after that. I know they're tight with
Okay.
those guys, but I mean, we both played Fest the same
Yeah.
year, I think. But no, but it's weird because I think ever since like after COVID and when shows start coming back, I've just noticed that a lot of yeah, I guess the touring packages either just don't ask or maybe the promoters don't do anything in that regard
I
for
was just about to
locals.
say that.
But yeah, I think it's pretty much relegated to, locals just putting on for each other now.
Even the metal scene, I noticed that there's not a lot of local bands either on those packages either. Like, back in the day, eh, somebody you knew were opening up for either, like you were saying, like a punk show, a metal show, or whatever. But like I was, you just said it though. I was thinking the same thing. But after COVID hit, it's just like, all right, we're just doing the package. Maybe I don't want to deal with the local talent. I don't, which kind of
Probably
sucks,
not. It's
but
probably really
you know.
annoying. It's probably really
Oh, I know we.
obnoxious having to deal with like people with massive egos and not a lot to show for it, what I mean? Like maybe that has a lot to do with it, but
Yeah.
maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's interesting though.
Well,
Well,
Mister, go ahead.
I got one more question for you. Since you
Yeah.
brought up the holiday event, what's your favorite movie of all time? Like if you had to pick one, your favorite movie.
That I could just watch like over and over and
Yeah.
over.
Oh yeah.
Breakfast Club.
That's a good one. Good
I can just
choice.
I can quote that movie from start to finish. And the reason why, when I lived in Germany as a teenager with because my stepdad was in the military, so we moved around a lot, and we lived in Germany. We only had one channel,
Mm-hmm.
and so what we did was we would just rent movies and double, and it's Breakfast Club. I would say that
Good
or
shit.
Chasing Amy.
Well, you
So
really like that movie.
I like Kevin Smith. On
Dude,
the I
dude,
like Kevin Smith.
The first Clerks is a classic.
Oh
Clerks is
yeah.
incredible. Mallrats, dude, I laughed so fucking hard at Mallrats. And of course, the Jay and Silent Bob movie was
Well,
fucking so gnarly back in the day.
You know who's in Nashville last night and tonight? Jason Mewes. He's at
Is he really?
Zany's. Yeah, he did Zany's. So
Was he like selling heroin or something?
nah, he's actually been clean for
I know.
quite some time now, which
Just
I'm happy
joking.
for the
I'm just
guy. No,
joking.
um, I actually 2 years ago I saw Clerks 3 in Denver with Mr. Kevin Smith.
Really?
He was doing a
Did he
Clerks 3
cry?
like, huh?
Did he cry?
No, I did.
You,
But but he
nothing
was
wrong
doing
with
like a
that.
he was doing a tour, a Clerks 3 tour where sell tickets and go watch it with Kevin Smith. He would introduce the movie, and then after the movie, he'd do a fucking Q&A. Great stuff. But me and my buddy were like, okay, we can't sit through this no more because the people were fucking stoned as fuck. So the
Oh yeah,
questions just
for
get
sure.
retarded and retarded, and we're like,
Yeah,
as much as we want to stay, and we got to go, so we dipped out. He did it in Murfreesboro, and he did it at not
that's cool.
Murfreesboro, sorry, he did it at what's the is there a Belcourt
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. Belcourt Theater. Yeah, Nashville. Yeah,
he
here in
did it
Nashville. Yeah.
there for he did it there
Belcourt's
too. So
great.
yeah,
That's an
yeah,
incredible place. Love that. Love that joint.
yeah. What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. Do you want to guess? Because I'm sure I've made references to this movie like since the day I've seen it, and I joke about it all the fucking time, and I always bring it up, and I literally will offer people to buy because I have multiple copies of the movie,
Oh
and
shit!
I'll be like, "Do you want to borrow the DVD?" And they're like, "No." I was like, "Well, I got it on VHS too. If you want to borrow." People are like, "But it's UHF."
With Weird Al.
That is
No,
my favorite movie, dude. I could probably quote the entire movie from start to finish. Like I could
is
probably do it without it even being on. I've seen it that many times.
is John Ritter in that movie?
I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, maybe it. I mean,
But
it's got
it
what's
is
his
Weird
name?
Al, right?
It's Weird Al and what's his name who plays Kramer.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
His name's on the tip of my tongue, and he's in it. And I mean, there's a
Michael
bunch of like
Richardson.
there's a Michael Richardson. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
fucking cameos in the movie, but it's just so stupid. It's the stupidest fucking movie ever made, and I
Yeah.
love it. I love everything about it. I cannot turn on that movie and not laugh. And there's
I was
so
gonna.
many. Go
I have
ahead.
it on VHS. I have it on VHS
I do
myself.
too. I do too.
Um,
I've got it on I've got the VHS. I've got it on Blu-ray, and I've got it on DVD. They're about to do a 4K release.
you gonna get it?
Shout Factory is doing a 4K release of that. There was like I don't know if I can actually get it because it might have been one of those like limited pre-order type things,
Yeah.
and I think I found out about it a little too late. And like the deluxe edition was like it was like over $100, and it came with just like a bunch of crap, like a bunch of like little odds and ends. I mean, it's stuff I would be like, oh, that's cool, but I just rather have the movie and get like a poster or something. But yeah, I'll probably end up snagging that at some point. But
Um,
if there's a laser disc, I'm going to find it. I don't think there is one, but if I could
there
ever
has to
get my,
be. There has to be.
I've looked on like eBay and stuff, not very extensively, but I haven't seen
Yeah.
one.
What about a
And
Betamax version?
shit, that would be cool too. I mean, if I could get any version of the movie, I'm just gonna get it.
Well, I told myself I would never get a DVD player unless Purple Rain was on DVD. So when I found Purple Rain on DVD, that's the same day I bought a DVD player
Really?
because I was like, I don't need a DVD player. Purple Rain's not on it, or the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I bought it for both. But
Maybe I actually need to get a copy of Purple Rain.
that's a movie I could watch over and over again. I just never say that movie because it's a given, obviously for me.
Mhm.
I got Purple Rain, I got Graffiti Bridge, I got Under a Cherry Moon. Like I got all those on VHS and DVD. Um,
Were those his other movies?
yeah, not as
Cool.
great, but I mean they're great in my eyes, but other people didn't think so. Under Cherry Moon and Graffiti Bridge, the the shit that that's talked about because he's a very sexual man, and those movies are very sexual. So
Are they really?
yeah, oh yeah, but they're great. They're great movies. Yeah, I definitely Prince is one. Yeah, he's a great. And
That's what's up.
I remember I bought my mom that cassette tape for Christmas one year because she liked it. I had no idea what the man was about, but then
Found out
I
real
started listening
quick.
to. Oh, I was yeah, and I got into him then. Like I've always been into Michael Jackson and Prince since I was a child, and
Yeah, both of the
I've
ghosts, man.
never not listened to those guys in my life. I've always
Yeah,
listened to them.
no,
So
I like them. I like them both too, man. They're
yeah.
great.
So, anywho, brother, anything else you want to talk about, chat about, or you mentioned before?
Man,
We've
as soon as we hang up, there's going to be like 20 different things I wish I brought up. But what I'll say is that you and I go way back. I mean,
Yep.
we've both been playing in bands and playing shows together. I mean, you put so many of my bands on and have supported me since day one. And oh, the cat's jumping on the table. Get
He
up.
wants to get some action.
This is my little kitty cat. Say hello to Victoria.
Hello, Victoria. She just wanted to say what's up,
But anyway, no, she's not supposed to be on the table, of course. But
Uh,
I was just gonna say, man, like you've been supporting me and literally every band I've ever been in. You've always been supportive and you've always been very kind, and
well,
you've
thank you.
always reached out to me in times, maybe not even knowing if I needed anything, but like
Yeah,
you've always stayed in contact. You've always been a good dude, and that just means a lot. I mean, it
I
means so much
appreciate
to
it,
me.
man.
And when you reached out to me, because yeah, you did mention that a couple years ago you were starting up the podcast. You're like, hey, I want to get you on. I'm like, man, I'd love to. Let's figure it out. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry it took
yeah.
so long, but
Nah, man.
I'm glad.
It wasn't ready until a few months ago. So
Well, congratulations on the podcast.
appreciate it, man.
Congratulations on all the positive changes you've been making in your life. That's really cool and
Thank you, thank you.
inspiring. Because I need a reminder that I need to kind of clean up my act from time to time. Uh,
Sometimes we just sometimes now I'm what you say or what the cool kids say. I'm California sober.
Oh yeah. Well,
You know.
we all know what that means. And that's if you're not drinking, then you're sober.
I needed some. I didn't start smoking until recently, but I needed a vice. I couldn't just go cold turkey because I needed something to calm my nerves.
I understand. I'm actually
But
a little bit on the opposite end because I actually like don't really like to smoke as much anymore. I almost rarely ever do. I just kind of
yeah,
like I've just done it so much in my entire life that it just doesn't really do a lot for me anymore. It's just very occasionally I'll enjoy it, but and with the alcohol too, it's like
one or the
there's
other.
I just take I mean I'll just go without for like weeks on end, and then I'll just be like, okay, I find time where I allow myself, like at a show, like when I'm playing a show or a band practice, I can enjoy myself a little bit. But then
Um.
during the week, like at my job, I got to be on point, so I don't want to be feeling like crap and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's another
that's
thing.
the
That's one thing I don't miss. I don't miss waking up fucking feeling like I got beat in the head with the
it's
baseball bat.
awful. Yeah, you get over it, and the older you get, the less appealing it is, and you're just like, all right,
Oh,
I can't spend every day, with my head and stomach hurting.
well, once again, and I don't give a fuck what people think or what they think, but the older you get to and you're drinking, you go from being this guy to being look at that old drunk over there in the corner, because like, but
Yeah,
it's whatever. But it's all
I
right.
mean, it's you got to take a look at yourself sometimes, and kind of say, who am I going to be today? Am I going to be
Yep.
that guy, or am I going to do something different? So I understand, and but
Well,
congratulations to you, man. I'm really proud of you, man. I
I
mean,
appreciate all the kind
I
words, my friend.
yeah, dude, and same to you. I hope that eventually when you start getting back to music, we'll start playing some shows together.
Yeah, I'm gonna be talking with this dude from Clarksville. His name's Cody Parson, and to me, I think he's the guy in the
I know
scene now
Cody.
that.
Yeah, yeah, and from the Heavy Change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna do. I'm interviewing him Wednesday.
cool.
I'm gonna be out of town 2 different times this month or next month. So I'm trying to get some sandbag like 4 or 5 episodes, which I need to
Gotcha,
get.
gotcha.
I always need to have 5 episodes sandbag, so I'm never shit. Who am I gonna get for next week? But
No, I get you. Yeah, yeah.
so I got him. I got this. I got 3 other guys. I got a tattoo artist for that locally, and I got some other musicians. But Cody, I'm
Good
doing. I've
shit,
been.
man.
He's a good guy, man. He's a great fucking dude. He actually is keeping Clarksville alive. So with like Torteville and Possum Stock and all this other shit. So,
Word
but yeah,
up.
man.
He ran
One thing I want to say
sound. He ran sound for us when we played.
at the Rebel
Uh,
House.
yeah, the Rebel House. Yeah, yeah. Because
Mhm.
I think he like works over there. He runs
Yep, yeah,
sound, and
he helps out
he was
there.
a nice guy. Yeah, nice dude.
Well, one thing I want to say to you is, man, I've always enjoyed everything that you've done with your band. Everything
Thank
is
you.
good shit.
I
You've
appreciate
always
that.
I feel like you always put everything you get is your heart into it. Um, and just keep doing it, man. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
I'm what I will say about that is I'm going really hard with music for the next couple of years, but at some point I'll probably stop. Like at some point, maybe as far as like the live band stuff goes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'll never stop creating. You know, I mean, of course, I'm talking like me when I'm like 50 years old, I'll probably stop doing bands. But like, but I'm gonna go really hard on music for like the next like 4 or 5 years, and
Yeah.
I'm putting everything into it, like as much as I possibly can. And of course, you know, we're taking into consideration the other guys and you know, their lives and their schedules, because you know I'm the only one in the band without a kid. So,
Okay.
you know, we have to schedule around, you know, not just their lives, but other people's lives and how they feel, what they want to do. So it's a lot goes into, you know,
Well, with
getting us all into the same room,
well,
you
we'll
know.
say one thing too. With you being a guitar player and a vocalist, you could always do your own thing, like like the acoustic thing, and just put up stuff online always. Or even if you didn't, like you said, playing live, you can always put music out there. There's always ways to put music out.
I'll never stop creating music
Yeah,
as
for
far as I
sure,
can
man.
tell. As far as I can tell, um, I'm gonna keep writing songs.
For sure.
I'll get a wave of inspiration, and I just sit down, and in a few days I'll have a song done. Like I don't like force myself to, oh, I got to work on a song. I got to write a song, you know. I don't do that anymore. I just wait until I'll get an idea, I'll get a melody in my head, I'll get a lyric in my head. I'll think of a melody and be like, let me try and play on the guitar. Let me try and do that. And then it just starts snowballing, you know.
If you're at work and you come up with like a melody idea, do you hum it into your phone?
No, it'll just be in my head, and I'll just
Okay.
keep thinking about it, and then I'll get home and I'll try and play on the guitar. But like, usually if it's something that I can't remember, then I don't even try.
Yeah.
But I've always have something to work on as far as like a song, lyrics, vocal melody, or video editing. I've always got someone to email. Like I'm just constantly like, I always feel like I'm like forgetting something. Like what am I not doing? Like I should be doing something. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Well, I will say this, and this is not me just being the old guy, but always makes time for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Don't always
For
like
sure.
overdo yourself with music. Even if
For
it's just a
sure.
couple hours a day, because you don't want to be like, music. I mean, yeah, music is life, but we always need some time for ourselves every once in a while.
Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, I definitely have you know, I have interests outside of music and stuff like that too.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, you
like,
said video games.
yeah, I mean, that was kind of like when that was really, I got into that when I was like not doing music, and I
Yeah.
was really just like down on my luck. But no, you gotta have something outside of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
music, you know, to enjoy. And you know, I think some people do it, and you know, maybe some people are into comedy or sports, or you know, I've been working on video editing. I'm trying to
Hell
get,
yeah.
you know, that as like a side gig for people eventually down the
Hell yeah.
line. So that would be cool. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, dude, this has been a lot of fun, man. I really
For
appreciate you hitting me up
sure.
and having me on, man.
We can chat again one day.
For sure.
I'm always gonna do episodes with people again. So, but Wes, where can everybody find your band at?
You can find us on Spotify, Graveyard Kids. We have a YouTube channel, and every social media, it's Graveyard Kids Rock. So at
Okay.
Graveyard Kids Rock, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I've been pushing the music video. Please check out the music video. And we've got you know, our EP's been out, and we already dropped a new single this year, dropped a music video back in January, dropped a new song in March, and we got a new song dropping in July. And we
Oh
got
yeah.
one more that's being recorded at the moment. It's not done yet, but that will be out in the fall as well.
Oh
So
yeah.
a couple new songs in next year. Looking forward to just like trying to play out more, you know, play other cities, and yeah, I would like to do a full length. That's my goal for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, Mr. Murdoch, it's been a good time, and we will chat again another
Thank you,
day.
Russ. I appreciate you, man. And it was fun. It was a really good time. So thank you for having me on.
No problem, brother. Later.